Okay. Everything looks cool. Hello, everybody. How is everyone? Hope you are well, my friends. And welcome to the Wednesday edition of our Shortwave radio show. And I'm starting strong with La Résolution, 10%, kind of pumpkin spice ale. So hi everybody, welcome to the show. Nice to have you here. And everything looks okay, so let's start the show. So hey everybody, welcome aboard. This is the Wednesday edition of the Shortwave radio show. And for those that are surprised because of the time, don't forget, my show stays the same, UTC. Where it changes is the reference, because we changed our clocks last weekend. And now the show is an hour earlier in North America. It was already an hour earlier in Europe because you guys had changed already. So it's kind of nice to be here. Hope everybody is going to find it cool today. And of course, we are going to talk about radio. This is a show where we kind of talk about everything radio related, everything that is shortwave, medium wave, long wave, and radio stuff, radio, reviews, whatever. I've been looking at the SDR Play RSP DX, that brand new RSP, and thinking that could be my one of my Christmas gift. The RSP DX could be kind of fun to have around, and I'll be able to actually plug in two antennas at once, which is nice. Also, two antenna inputs. So that's going to be fun. So I might be looking into that. It would apparently improve, especially below 2 megahertz medium wave, long wave on the receive. So for those that wonder, the clock is right here. I didn't forget today to put the clock here. And of course, that's UTC time. A lot of people saying, hey, that's, I live in the time zone. Yeah, that's UTC time. We are 5 hours behind now because of the time change. Eastern time is 7 p.m. here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. My name is Gilles, and we are here to entertain and have fun talking about radio stuff. I tuned 4477 just to see if I could hear the Morse code today, but I'm not hearing anything. Propagation seemed to be okay. I received quite a lot of stations, listened to Radio Japan from Madagascar. I listened to, I heard Adventist World Radio from Madagascar. I was just listening to RAI Radio Exterior España, not España, Radio Argentina al Exterior, and French on 7780 that just ended via WRMI. And anyways, Propagation looks interesting. The sun here is set 2 hours ago. Sets around even a little more. It sets like at 4:45 now. It's really showing. And tonight we will have something that we haven't had in a while. We're supposed to have a couple of inches of snow. It's supposed to start overnight, and we might wake up tomorrow morning and it's gonna be all white for the first time. So and last night we did have some because Paul the cat wanted to go outside at like 5 a.m. And I opened the door and it was snowing. And this morning, actually, there was a little, just a little white coat. But, of course, it melted really quickly because the temperature went above zero. But, when we start talking about snow, it's November. Winter's around the corner. So, hey, everybody, there's a beautiful chat room with wonderful people out there. I'm going to have a few stories about radio. I've got a few questions that I think will be fun to answer that I got about an hour ago before the show. from somebody that's not in the chat, that doesn't join really the community or doesn't participate much. But that person is saying that, her name is Elizabeth, and she actually been listening to the live streams for the past 2 years. And she says she enjoys every live stream that I do. She is visually impaired. So she was telling me that she was blind and that she was actually using a Kenwood receiver, Kenwood R5000 actually, that had the voice control board so that she can understand where she is and everything, and that she and her little life of not being able to view the world, she was able to listen to the world, and she said it was really, really cool. So, of course, viewing the show is like she's listening to the show, and is interesting. She says I got a great voice, and that helps a lot. So, the little details that you probably take a little more, has more importance when you can't really see the world, actually. So she's been listening to the show regularly, and she says that she loves the content. It's always a lot of fun. And she wants to say hello to everybody, even though she can't really go into chat or anything. But she's having a lot of fun. She lives in the province of Saskatchewan, Canada. She actually comes from Regina. And she's been listening to shortwave and to radio since she was young, because it was her world, her way to listen to the world and have an kind of an image of the world around her. It was a very interesting, very touching email, very nice email that she sent me, and it's fun to know that you're listening, Elizabeth, and that you're participating in your own way, and that email was really, really nice. She was telling me, she was actually started the email saying, I'm sorry if it's not right, because she's using voice software, voice recognition. So she says sometimes it might look weird or sound, the email might be bizarre, but, and it actually was pretty good, honestly, for voice recognition. I found it really, really nice. And so she's got a few questions that she wants me to answer, and I'll answer them tonight, as we also talk about amateur radio bands and what we can hear on these bands. But she's got some interesting, actually, lots of questions about my personal radio hobby, and of course, I guess it will also bring a lot of you out there that want to maybe talk about something like that, or add something to it because of your own experience. So welcome aboard, Elizabeth, and it's really, really nice to know that you're listening to the live streams and enjoying the show. And she was saying, actually, in her email, that one of the things she found really cool that got her hooked from the first time she listened to the show is the fact that since I interact with everybody in the chat room and often mention the comments of the chat room, well, it's fun for her because she can listen in to the comments while, I talk about people in the chat room. That's something that is very, very nice, because a lot of people that I have had some comments, been telling me, there's, you talk too much with the chat room and it's boring and blah, blah. Well, that's my thing, and it's not going to change. One of the first things that's cool here is not just talking about radio, but having interaction with everybody. And that's not going to change. If you find that boring, that I'm having that interaction and read comments from the chat room, it's your own problem. And there's tons of other content on the web that you can go and watch if this is not what you like. And that's it. So, talking about people in the chat room, Terry Cook, nice to have you here. KF7BQ, nice to have you on board. Matambali in Colorado, nice to have you here. No problem at all if you can't stay very long. There's other things to do than watching Jill also. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here in Louisiana, W8107 SWL. Kevin Wood, nice to have you on board from Nova Scotia, Canada. Are you guys going to have snow? I've seen, is it Nova Scotia is going to be hit by some kind of snowstorm? I think that's what I saw. Rufus Newt, nice to have you here from the Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Milroy Peter, nice to have you here from really nearby Montreal. It's nice to have you on board. Brent, nice to have you on board from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Yeah, really nice. Got this week as a gift from YouTube. So it's really nice. Carl, nice to have you on board. Recray, nice to have you on board from Turkey. I guess it's pretty late over there, eh? Bob, guys, nice to have you here, Bob, from Long Beach, New York, into DET. Says, our local NOAA weather is back on air. KW035 on 16255. Okay, cool. You know, you guys have these outages of NOAA weather that are sometimes kind of long. I remember the one here that I listened to, which is 162.400, coming out of Burlington, Vermont, once being off for like a couple of months before they came back. Jerry DX, nice to have you here. Page Master, nice to have you here. KC5VOY in Moore, Oklahoma. Tom Jones, nice to have you here. It is absolutely fantastic of a beer. Vince Perrault, salut et bonjour et bienvenue. From just southeast of Montreal, in the South Shore. Rufus Newt got his MLA 30 yesterday. Woohoo! And you gotta have to set that up and listen in. Nice. Owen81, nice to have you on board from Bristol, UK. M7OJW, nice to have you here. Roy Peter had a scary moment because of the windstorm. It bent my PVC pipe with the MLA 30 down. I had to go on the roof again. Oh man, wow. The high winds we had on Friday were crazy, and I was looking at the reaction of the two loops, the W6 LVP. Obviously, the W6 LVP loop is so much more, it's thicker, and what happens is the wind would not really interact or bend it, but it actually made it twist because it wasn't attached tightly enough, so it kind of moved a little bit. So I had to put it back in position, which was the best reception that I have. And then I actually tied it down a little tighter so that the wind doesn't actually change. We did have a little bit of wind in the past few days, and it's been okay. But the MLA 30, because of that thin wire for the loop, that thin metal wire, it really bent on each side with all the 100-kilometer wind. But it held on, and it kept its shape. So not bad, actually. And, of course, that was one of the things that I did watch quite a lot with the windstorm last Friday, how my antennas were going, my sloper in the backyard, even though I don't use it much. I did check that out also. William Moser, nice to have you here, my friend. PageMaster worked 11 out of the 25 lighthouses from Lake Havasu City, Arizona. 14 to go. But the event ends November 11th. Well, you still got, 5 days? Still got 5 days. Let's cross our fingers you get all 25. Kimberly, nice to have you here from California. Pretty cool. K6YYL. Pretty cool. What else do we have? Simon Templar, nice to have you here, my friend. Terry Cook says, hello, Elizabeth. Nice to have Terry here. The Expeditions, nice to have you on board from Ottawa. Simon Templar says, hi, Elizabeth. Greetings from Portland, Oregon. Mickey Delmage, nice to have you here. Big signal from Thailand. Check it out here, 13750. I have a very, 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 very small little peep of signal on the display, and that's it. Lucky bum. I haven't heard Radio Thailand well into North America in quite a long time. Brent says to say hello to Elizabeth from all of us. Rufus Newt says, cheers, Elizabeth. Carl says, hello, Elizabeth. So, great gang of people here, and I'm sure that you're going to feel welcome. It's nice. Actually, I find it really nice that you took the time to write us and let us know that you are actually listening in. HF Zone, nice to have you here. Josh from Chesapeake, Virginia. TV Radio 72, nice to have you on board. Also saying hi to Elizabeth. So it's really, really nice. As you see, great people here. Kevin Wood is VE1 TV. Bobby Burgess says hello, Elizabeth. Max Edstrong, nice to have you on board from Michigan. Andy Coley, nice to have you here. Dave Belial, nice to have you here. WA1UJA. Chat is good. Yes, it's a great chat. Great people, too. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you on board. And, well, better an hour than nothing. Says 67 Fahrenheit. Wow. Not a snowflake in sound. Yeah. Kevin Wood, rain here. Hope. Okay. Mark Elford, nice to have you here. Max Headstrong, snowy, cold, and windy here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So, perfect radio weather. Andy Coley is in the UK, 2E0REE. Pavel Lysenko, nice to have you here, my friend. Northern Dawn, nice to have you on board from the UK. Pretty cool to have you here. David says, NOAA radios have no backup transmitters. We lost the Atlanta transmitter for about 2 weeks. Wow. Northern Dawn got the RTL dongle too. Cool. Jerry DX, nice to have you here. Says, tell Elizabeth that she's a real inspiration and to continue to learn and enjoy the hobby. And, that is absolutely true. I mean, nothing like radio. It's a cool way to enjoy the world and with our different senses. And it's really nice. Dave O'Toole, nice to have you on board from Dublin, Ireland. Juan amigo, ¿cómo está mi amigo? Donde Barcelona, Spain. Livy Nathan, nice to have you here. Yes, I totally understand that you guys in Europe are probably going to sleep. It's quite late over there. Vince Perrault, just northwest de Montagne. Nice to have you here, Vince. Not very far away. In terms of the world, I mean, when you look at all the people here in the chat room from everywhere around the world, it's kind of not very, very far. Hi, Brawler. Nice to have you here. Got his XH Data D808 in the mail Monday, and it has been interesting to compare it with my Texan PL600, and pleasure to use. Cool. And hopefully, if you are kind of wondering about something, I've been actually starting my instruction manual for the XH Data. So as time permits, I will be posting videos of how to use it, and also how I use it, because sometimes it's fun to see how someone might be using a specific radio in a different way than than maybe you think about. So cool, you're gonna enjoy it. It's a nice radio. Tom Jones, nice to have you on board. 35 miles from Alexandria, Louisiana. Pretty warm here. Cool. Livy Nathan, of course, is from Israel. Shalom. JDX, winter was crazy last week. Yes, it was. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. It's 13750, not 15, Kevin. 13750. 13750 for Radio Thailand. Rufus News says, where do I get instructions on constructing the ML830? I seem to get very little answers online. Well, you can actually look at how to construct. There is, because the ML830 seems to be, the circuit board seems to be designed on an open source low noise amplifier. So I guess, I don't know, it's kind of interesting, where you could actually find the info for all of it, for sure. Mark Elford says, change I've updated my shortwave game, sticking to my ancient boat anchors, but investing in an ML830 for my XH Data and Sony ICF. Cool. You're gonna like that. Joe Gomez, nice to have you on board from San Diego. Hi, Brawler says, by the way, I am in Northeast Arkansas. Cool. Rob, nice to have you here from Phoenix, Arizona. What else do we have? Jerry's listening to some scanner stuff, I guess. Ministry of Natural Resources giving fines for hunters. Muglone, nice to have you here, my friend. Nice to have you here. Joe Sombra Nuas, nice to have you on board from Brazil. Hey, let's check out Brazil here on 11780. Yeah, that's pretty good. Brazil is very, very strong on 11780 at the moment. Really strong signal from Brazil. Vianney, salut, bienvenue de la Gaspésie, mon ami. Nice to have you on board. And it's fun to have you here. I had it makes me think that I had my day started with a very, very unusual way. So I buy my coffee and I buy the coffee beans. And of course I got the machine and everything for my morning coffee. And I had a big bag of coffee bean, which was pretty much almost full. And it was on the table. And I turned around to do something. I turned around and I bumped the open the open bag, and it fell down, and it actually emptied itself across my kitchen floor this morning. And I thought, okay, what is going to happen today? This is an interesting start to my day. The coffee spilled everywhere on the floor. So that's kind of started my day today, which kind of was like a bummer. It was like, yeah, okay. I'm half asleep and I don't feel like, committing an hour of my time to find, and actually I cleaned up. But, coffee beans are like spread everywhere. So all day today, I was doing something and it's like, oh, there's still a coffee bean there on the floor. Oh, there in that little corner. There in that little crack in the floor. And I was like, oh, man, I'm sure I'm going to find coffee beans for the next 6 months. HF Zone, everyone getting used to the B19 schedules. Yes, slowly but surely. It's kind of interesting. Afternoon, whoops. I just kicked the camera. Just make sure that it's all right. Let's put it back in kind of a better position here. Here we go. So, yeah, I've been enjoying going through the B19 schedules and checking out what I can hear, what we can listen to. I've been Radio Romania in North America, East Coast, has been very, very difficult to receive. If it stays like that all winter, Radio Romania is going to be, I'm going to have to listen in to the European broadcast that actually comes a million times better in the afternoon here than the actual North America broadcasts in the evening. Hollywood One from Northern New Jersey, nice to have you here. Da-dee-da, nice to have you here, my friend, from wet Northern Ireland. Nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Let's continue down. Leaf wars with the neighbors. Well, here, what's at least what's fixed for that is that now the trees have no more leaves. So, Rampton, nice to have you here. Paul wearing his pirate costume. Well, he does have a little parrot cat necklace for his medal. Moria 330, nice to have you here. Florence Garneau, nice to have you here. WM6V in Ontario. Nice to have you here. How's my ham studying going? Well, actually, I didn't study that much, but I did go through the 100 questions at least a dozen times. And the lowest score that I got was something like 80. I think once 82%, but most of the time I'm 85% and up. I would be ready to just pass the exam without doing anything else. William, I still cannot get this on Wednesdays. Well, you are here. William Conlon, you are here. Rufus says, sorry, Sean, I mean instructions on setting up an MLA 30. Oh, okay. Oh, you'd like to have, okay, maybe. You know what? Okay, you just actually made me realize something. You know, when you do radio stuff, and when you do stuff in general, and you do stuff all the time, you take for granted that everybody understands how to do something. And we all do that every day. You know, we do something every day that is just so basic for us that we take for granted that, well, just buy that and it's easy to set up. But you know what? I've had a few emails of people saying, you know what? I'm a little baffled on how to set up the antenna. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should put myself in a different mode. Because for me, setting up the MLA30 was very easy. But I realize now that a few people are saying, well, I'm not totally sure on how to set this up. So, you make me understand that I need to make videos that clearly explains the way I set it up, and then you can actually look at the way it's set up in the easiest way possible. And have it, as easy as possible to understand to everybody. It's like the XH Data D808. It's a complex radio. It's natural for me and different ways to operate it. For the radio knowledge that I have, because I was a tech guy, and I know that being a tech guy means that the understandings of how devices work is probably different for me. And then you come to realize that it might be more complicated than that. And, actually, it goes back to when I was a tech guy. When I was a tech guy, I understood the first 6 months that I started doing tech jobs, I understood that what I thought was the easiest thing in the world is actually really complicated for a lot of people, which was something that I was not prepared to do. We don't think like that, because you're in your own way of thinking and doing stuff, and we all have an easier way of understanding certain things than others, and it depends on what we do. We all have different skills. And, I remember telling a guy that worked in construction. I said, you're going to build a house. I can't do that. I'm going to be baffled totally in how to build a house. But for you, it's natural. And the other end of the scale is you're totally baffled on how the computer works and how to do stuff, where I totally get it. So we have different skills, and it's easy to forget that sometimes we need to take the time to sit down and explain stuff to its most basic way. You know what? Great example. The XH Data. I think I got 20 messages, including emails, of people that told me, that video of how to remove the beep, I'm so happy you did it, because it was getting me driving me crazy, and I just didn't know how to do it. And that's where you understand that, okay, you got to explain stuff and everything to its basic level for people to understand. Some people are not good reading a manual. There are some stuff in there. There's one that I'm going to talk about that actually even I was a little surprised at how they did it, and it's very simple. Switching from upper to lower sideband on the XH Data. It might look like it's a dumb question to ask, especially for a guy like me, But I didn't grasp how to change upper lower sideband on the D808 immediately. Because it's not logical and it isn't written on the keypad. And I had to go read the instructions. And it was like, oh, okay, with that button, you change upper lower sideband. Whoa, okay. Understanding how to get the most of RDS on FM. That also needed to have a little more of an explaining. Because at first I was like, I'm getting RDS, but there's something missing. There's more than that on many stations. And understanding how to switch between the information from the FM RDS, for example. One that isn't easy for a lot of people, and that is one common for a lot of radios. How the hell do you switch from the 9 kilohertz European and 10 kilohertz North American spacing in the medium wave band? You know, that's stuff that you don't necessarily grasp. And some receivers actually are a little complex. Some receivers are made in a way that, for example, if you want long wave to work, you gotta have 9 kilohertz spacing. They put it together because they decided that, well, if you're in North America, 10 kilohertz, you don't need long wave. Well, yeah, maybe you want to listen to non-directional beacons, you know? So we're gonna, okay. I think that we need to sit down to listen to talk about more of these basic videos. I've noticed that, over time, even on my tech channel that I do videos, I get comments sometimes like, well, how dumb can somebody be to need a video like this? You're wasting your time making this video. Yeah, that video has, 200,000 views. I can tell you, it might sound basic for you, but 200,000 views is telling me I helped a lot of people with, something that I find simple, that you might find simple, but no, they're not dumb, not understanding it. That when somebody posts a comment like that, I'm always like, yeah, you're dumb. Anybody that calls somebody dumb because they don't understand something, they're dumb. Not the one that doesn't understand the thing. It's that always drives me nuts. It's like, yeah, you know what? You're a wise ass. You understand everything all the time. Yeah, sure. Stop treating people like that. It's not the way it works. So I think we need to do more basic videos of all of that. For me, setting up an MLA30 was simple. But you know what? It's not even something that came across my mind. So it tells you how sometimes you need somebody to tell you, I'm looking for a video to do this. For me to understand, oh, okay, yeah, it didn't cross my mind that it would be nice to do a video to explain something like that. And so we're going to try to have all of that and the best that we do in here. Because, one of the things on my channel that I always want is to have the easiest explanations of things for everybody. One video that I get comments all the time that you'd be surprised, and it comes from 99% of the time, I get a thank you from an amateur radio operator. Was the video that I actually explained what's upper lower sideband, and at the same time I explain where it's used and all of that. But what is upper lower sideband? What does it mean? And I don't know how many amateur radio operators that they're hams. So you would, automatically think that because you're an amateur radio operator, it must be something everybody understands. And then you get tons of views on that video, and you get tons of, oh, thank you. You know what? I never understood the difference between both. I never understood how it worked. And thanks to your video, I do. So, it's sometimes you do something and you're like, yeah. And it's easy for somebody in some field sometimes to get kind of just not be there, not think that, of anything of it until somebody posts a question and you're like, yeah, okay, I never thought about that. It'd be nice to explain. Some people don't understand it, which is totally normal. I mean, R. Walker, nice to have you on board from Washington. Tom Jones bought the Eaton Elite Traveler on your recommendation for the previous version of that radio. I love the AM reception, great on all bands. He's got 3 shortwave receivers. Cool, Tom. Yes, Vianney, I made a home run with my coffee. I can tell you that. Coffee beans everywhere. Coffee beans everywhere. Oh, man. The problem, William, I don't understand. You're here now. It is Wednesday. RFDX, sir. Nice to have you on board from East Central Pennsylvania. Scott Reed, nice to have you here. Don't worry. My cat is not even interested in the coffee beans at all. My cat doesn't eat anything. He eats his food and he almost never wants anything else. Florence Garneau's got an MLA30 in the bedroom. Amazing reception. Cool. Am Extra. Nice to have you on board. Thanks for making the Facebook group. Good evening from Central Texas, W5BL. So, as we're talking about that, there's a Facebook group that I created for... it's not a competition. And that's one thing that I want to first really, really stress out here, because there are tons of shortwave groups out there. But I want... what I want with the Facebook group that I created, and it's the official SWL channel, has the same name as my channel here on YouTube. It's the official SWL channel Facebook group. And I mean, for a long time, people have been actually asking me for, a way that we can either interact when I'm not live, or that we could, there could be something. Some people are mentioning a Facebook group and other. So I actually caved in and decided to do it this week. The idea behind the Facebook group is not a competition with anybody else. I don't wish to do that, and I'm not interested in doing that. My real big thing is YouTube. I'm not, okay, yeah, I am a competitive guy, but I mean, shortwave is not where I'm competing. I'm competing more on my tech channel than here. Here is more of a fun thing. I want it to be kind of a complement to this channel. So you guys can join the Facebook group, can post your logs, can post videos of whatever radio. It has to be radio related. It's very important. So at the same time, maybe you'll get a little bit more promotion of your own channels. I'll announce the live shows there. I'll post some videos that I think are interesting, or any information from time to time as time permits. But I want it to be kind of on its own Facebook group, meaning you guys post what you feel interesting in anything radio and share it with everybody else. No problem. And let's just have a great group where we can learn and have tons of other, tons of radio information, and that's cool. And kind of a complement, kind of a add-on to the YouTube channel that we have here, and where everybody is all the time. So, official SWL channel group on Facebook. We got a few moderators, actually, a lot of you moderators out there are welcome. That are moderators here are welcome to be moderators over there for sure. And talking of moderators, I haven't done this in a little while. PageMaster, you've earned your moderator status. Just looking at this right now. PageMaster. What do we have? Rodolva65. How about being moderator? You want to be moderator? There you go. From New York City. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool. What's the channel for marine weather station? Well, there's a lot of frequencies. If you go on William Moser on the EIBI-space.de list, you will see that you have the schedules for pretty much all the weather broadcasts on HF. There's still quite a lot coming out of Chesapeake, Virginia. There's the ones coming out of Louisiana. There's the ones coming out from Seattle. There's some from the Pacific also. There's a lot of stuff in there. Ron Sear, nice to have you on board. Like my Halloween thingy. Like my Alex Jones. So we're going to check that out, Rufus. Post a few videos on helping out on how to set it up and show my own setup, actually. So, pretty cool. Cool, Florence. Florence. Nice to see that it works well. Christophe Brocksteel, nice to have you here from Belgium. 1:25 a.m. Have a great night. Kevin Wood, Cheese Shop on 7780. There's some music right now. Take care, Florence. What else do we have? Rancière still left CB, old handle, Minuteman, Midland Mobile SSB, Antron, 20 amp power. Wow, 12 watt. R. Walker says, also think you should do a video focused on utilities. A lot of new people think the only thing on shortwave are broadcast stations and Brother Stare. Yeah, you know, that is true. I should concentrate. And especially, I do have a utilities column in the Messenger. I should do some utility videos. You are totally right on that. Thanks for sharing your comments about that. There are things that it's, you know, sometimes, because what happens a lot is you sit down and, you know, I wake up in the morning and the first thing is, okay, what am I going to post today? What are the videos? On the tech channel, there's a lot of news and a lot of stuff happening, so it's kind of natural. It goes with the flow of the latest news and latest things happening in Windows and technology. On shortwave, it's more of a, okay, what am I or what should I talk about that would be of interest? You know, I kind of tripled the views on the channel in the past 6 months because I noticed that a lot of the things that I posted, top 10 stuff and kind of, you know, a lot of people find it interesting, you know, and I'm searching for those videos that maybe would interest people and make it even more interesting. So, you know, utilities. You're right that I don't focus. I do long utilities, but don't focus a lot on utilities. So that's true. One of the things also that I want to try to focus a little bit on, now that I have this microphone, I easily do videos with, you know, the SDR running and my own comments over the video of what signal that is and what it is. I think there's a big potential there to show people my own way of maybe tuning the bands and finding signals and chasing signals and showing that there's a lot of stuff out there to listen to. So I think there's enormous potential that I'm not exploiting, you know. Nick Mayakovsky, nice to have you on board from the noisy valley in Nova Scotia. Technical writers do not exist today, Rufus Newt. Yeah, you know, the manuals we get with our radios are horrible, honestly. So it's really, really weird. Really, really weird. So, you know. R. Walker, also a video on basic decoding of digital modes on HF. You know, that's absolutely true. And you know what? I think what's very, very important here and worth it to understand is basic decoding of digital modes, but not only with a SDR or desktop, but with portable receivers. So, you know, there's great ideas in here that I'm going to check I'm going to re-look at the chat room tomorrow and note all these comments in my book. Because, yep, you guys are right. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, maybe I'm not touching enough. Like Rufus Newt says, nothing. There's no such thing as a stupid question. You know, we don't know something. We don't know something. That's it. I really, really, you know. I don't get it, William Conlon. You're in the chat, and I see you, and I guess you're listening in, and you're in the live show. You're here. I don't really get what's not working, man. Hard Walker, a lot of people just getting into shortwave watch your channel, so some of those basic how-to videos would be great. MLA30 looks kind of crazy to a beginner. Yeah, you know, and that's something that sometimes is easy to just not see, because it's easy to think that something is very basic when you totally understand it and realize that in reality, yeah, it's basic for me. It isn't that like that for everyone. So, you know. Yeah, well, it depends. A lot of portables are okay if you're just careful with the volume level, Tom Jones. Joe Brown, nice to have you here. Yeah, when all else fails, that's the time to read the instructions. But like I was just saying, a lot of the instructions today are really, really bad. Honestly, most radios have the minimum of instructions. An example of a very bad manual, the ICOM ICR30. That manual is the worst thing that I've ever seen. Try to understand how to scan two ranges of frequencies. I'm not sure anyone does. I read that a million times and found out by actually trying it myself. Chuck Yukin, nice to have you here, my friend. Joey D, nice to have you on board. Joined my Facebook page, cool. Currently listening to his Kato KA1103 on the front porch. Lucky you. Facebook page is official SWL channel. Prasad Asoldekar, nice to have you on board from India. Kevin Wood as Shannon Volmet, 3413. Let's check it out here. 3413. And, yeah, pretty good. It's about almost S8 here in Montreal, Kevin. Pretty cool. PageMaster says, that tripped my circuit breaker that amateur operators do not know what LSB and USB are. Well, you'd be surprised the amazing amount of people that actually have posted that they understood after they saw my video. I even have somebody that said, you know what? You helped me pass my ham license with some of the videos you posted on the basics of radio on the channel. Crazy, eh? Now I want to have a ham radio operator come up to me and say I don't know what I'm talking about. Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Yeah, a hoodie, nice hoodie that I got this week. I knew I'd get it, I didn't know when, but with the official Shortwave channel on it too, which is really nice. I really like it. Chromate, nice to have you here. We moderators are very moderate people. Mark Alford, I hope you do an MLA30 setup video. I've always used end-fed wire antennas with a transmatch. So dipoles are something I've never used, but I'm getting one. Cool. Cool, William Conlon. It is nice and beautiful sound too on the microphone. Honestly. RFDXer speaking early 30. What cable adapters does one need to bring the coax to a Texan PL880? Yeah, that's the thing. You'll need a SMA to 1.8 audio adapter. I created one myself by using 2 cables. I've got an SMA cable with a coax on it, and I'm just gonna show you guys a little bit. It's still in the beta or the test phase, but what I actually did was, let me just see if I can find where. Okay, one moment. So look at this, okay? And this is really basic right now. What I did is, so you see here, I've got, this is the type of cable that an 880 or most portables use, most portables that have an input. Now this one is a stereo, because I was unsure, because the antennas, and maybe I can actually show you guys. Yep, okay, look at this. So this is a typical shortwave antenna for portables. What you see here, you might see that there's only one notch. Only one notch on this 1.8. This is the same size, by the way, as the headphones for your MP3 or smartphone. So the antennas have one notch, but I am using a stereo audio cable that has 2 notches, because stereo cables need 2 notches to bring in the stereo signal to separate it. So of course I wanted to know if it would work or not, and it works great even with a audio cable like this. Okay, what I did, so I already had here a SMA cable. So let's go a little further here. See if I can bring it there. So I've got my this is my cable that comes from my SMA. Okay, let me just move this. So this is a black cable, which at the other end has an SMA cable, an SMA connector, sorry, which is a SMA male connector for the SMA female connector on my antenna. So I just actually, now this is very basic right now. I haven't done anything to fix it yet, because I thought maybe I'd do videos on it. So here I've actually manually attached simply the different connectors. What I made sure was that the antenna connector itself was on the tip part, and that the 2 other connectors here were on the shield part of the cable. So that means that the shield is connected to 2 wires, and that the antenna itself is connected to one single wire, which is the center wire from the SMA cable. Now, it's a little weird when I explain it like this, but obviously that also I would need to do a video, because I think a lot of people will enjoy seeing that. I've used regular audio cable, and it actually works well. A good shielded audio cable would be the best, because it would actually remove the noise. So basically, that is the way I do it. But of course, you can just buy an adapter and have that adapter from SMA to. You can also just use a SMA with coax and use a 1.8 connector that you can actually solder the wire onto. But I guess, it'd be important maybe that I should do videos to explain it a little more, because a lot of people have been saying, hey, how did you set up your portables with that loop antenna? I'm looking at your videos. You set it up, and I want to know how. Yes, David. You know what? When I did Alex Jones last week, I had a sore throat for 3 days. Just to give you an idea. Mugbabot says, not much marine traffic here in Waco, but the protection racket keeps 900 bands lit. The, well, marine traffic on the VHF band is not bad, but marine traffic on HF is not like it used to be, absolutely. Pagemaster, you became a moderator tonight, about a half an hour ago. Okay, Bobby Burgess, no problem. You'll anybody that is asked to join will be there soon, and I'll check it out. And of course, we got already a few moderators there, so we'll be checking it out. Max says Strong loves utilities on the days when they were. Whoops. I just lost my spot. Okay, so. Max says Ron loves on the days, the days when they were all over the band, so many different mysterious signals. Oh, absolutely. I remember one of the fun things that I liked to do regularly was to listen to phone calls from ship to shore. That was a lot of fun. That was like listening to, cell phones, but international. Arthur's Hallicrafters Kitchen. Nice to have you here. Just join the Facebook group. You can see my photo of my Hallicrafters. And by the way, do share a picture of your radios, your shack, even yourself if you want. It's really a lot of fun to see all of that. And the Facebook group is there for that we can share all our information. Nice to have you on board from Massachusetts. Our Walker says, I always tell new people that utilities on HF are like the stuff you would hear on a scanner, but often from further. There will always be utilities to hear. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. McGlone, my father says, my father was a tech writer for the GTE microwave division. Wow. Simon Templar, question for you. In your collection of small portable shortwave radios, do you have a C-Crane Skywave or Skywave SSB? Nope, that's missing in my collection. I would like to have one, honestly, because that's something that I think would be nice to have and test out. A lot of people ask me, do you have a C-Crane of some sort? And no, I don't. It's missing. But they're kind of expensive here. I was looking the other day. C-Crane Skywave SSB is $300 Canadian. I find it a little expensive for a radio, honestly. If I'm going to spend $300 for a Skywave SSB, I will spend $300 instead for, a SDR player RSP DX instead, and it's even less expensive. What else do we have? Kevin has 2749 Canadian Coast Guard, Sydney, Nova Scotia. Probably 2749 is almost always Nova Scotia. Yeah, I'm hearing it right now. In English, 2749. 2749 upper sideband. I'm hearing in English right now. The ones from other parts of Canada are almost all on 2598. The one in Newfoundland, there's one here in Quebec that is Rivière-au-Renard in the east part of Quebec. They're almost all on 2598. The ones on 2749 are pretty much always Sydney, Nova Scotia. Garby the Fish, nice to have you on board, my friend, from Ontario. Vienna Sono just put a demand on the official shortwave group. Simon Templar, I know you know stuff. You know your stuff. WF7I Homebrew, nice to have you on board, my friend. Fun ID for Facebook group. I'm noticing lots of requests to join, but folks aren't answering the radio questions. Oh, but you know what, WF7I? Take the time, okay? Take the time to wait. I've noticed, I don't know if it's the way that they actually do it, so people ask to join. But if you see somebody join and he didn't answer the radio questions, come back 20 minutes later and look at the same request. And they're always answered. It seems that there's no answers at first, but if you wait 15 minutes, the answers are there. It's like that, I've added do you agree with the rules of the Facebook group that you have to be a good boy to be there? Some people don't answer that. All I'm asking is that you respect the rules, WF7i Homebrew will be doing a band scan with his newly aligned DX100. Cool. David Martin, strange signal on 4320. 4320. What do we have there? I've got nothing on 4320. I do have something that is around 4317 upper sideband. I do have a Weatherfax transmission though. Maybe that's what you're listening to, David Martin. William Moser says, the one thing I notice is that on the Facebook page, a lot of people are using the ICOM R8600. Yeah, there's quite a few that I've seen, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's 4317, actually, upper sideband is the Weatherfax from, I think that's the one from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm pretty sure. Orpheus Newt been hunting SMA connectors all night. Joel Jones. RFDXer says, thank you for answering my MLA30 adapter question. Now I know what to get on eBay. MLA30 is scheduled to arrive any day soon. PL880 is already here and working well. Just too much QRM in the house. I think that's going to add to your listening experience with the PL880 because you'll be able to have less noise. Same here. If I use my radios, my portables right here with just the telescopic, forget it. I'm not going to listen too much. If I didn't know that what shortwave was all about, honestly, I would actually think that that's bogus, and it's and I'm pretty sure a lot of people that have got a shortwave portable probably got that and said, "Wow, that's false advertisement." Listening to the world on the radio, that thing doesn't work. I'm sure a lot of people actually taught that when they purchased a radio. Because honestly, if I didn't know what I was doing and that noise exists and that all the potential of shortwave, I would just think that these radios aren't working well or they just don't do what they are supposed to do. PageMaster, when those ships use radio telephone operators, I used to know what the numbers are when those operators dialed up those numbers. There are still some, by the way, but they are I don't hear them very often. But I did hear, I'd say in the last 6 months, I heard maybe 1 or 2 radio telephone calls. They still exist on some, in some rare instances. There's other Crafter's Kitchen. Sea cranes are about 20-30% overpriced for what they are. What else do we have? The other way around, William Conlon. Send an email to officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com and I'll answer back. Take care, TV Radio 72. And Friday show, of course, 20 UTC. If anybody can join in. Jason Pongratz, nice to have you on board. Picked up an old Yachtboy 400, a ham radio show last weekend. It's a nice radio. I owned a Yachtboy 400 for about, for about 2 years, 3 years. Sold it to my uncle that would make TV repairs. Kevin Wood, 4775, earring program under Kodar, low power Brazilian, 4775. I'm not getting anything here. Oh, I'm getting a very, very small hit. So if I go to 4774, I do hear something. But 4775. It's a Brazilian. Wait, let me just check 4775. Well, the only thing, yeah, okay. Oh, no, not even Brazilian. Oh, it's okay. 084002. Tuesday to Sunday. So you're hearing either, there are two stations you might be hearing. If you can pin it down, and if it's off frequency, Kevin, if you can pin it down to 4774.9, it could be Peru, Radio Tarma. Do you understand the language enough to see if it's Portuguese or Spanish? If it's Portuguese, you got Radio Sorda de Congonhas in Brazil. And if you have Spanish, you're listening to Radio Tarma from Peru. But do you have, I get a carrier, a very faint carrier, but it's too faint for anything. So, hey, Fast Eddie, nice to have you on board from Thunder Bay, VE3KRP. Northern Dawn, what's the best SDR software? You know what? It depends what you're using and with your device. But honestly, if you have an SDR Play, I've come to really love SDR Uno. If I would have something else, I would probably be using HD SDR that I like. But you know what? That's a very personal question. I noticed that your favorite SDR software is like, your favorite phone or, your favorite car. It's very, very personal. It's something that you like because of some reason. And I've loved that, but there's like, if you ask 20 different radio guys what SDR software you love the most, you'll get tons of different answers. It's very, very personal. Dirty Diaper 21, nice to have you on board, my friend. Rufus Newt, going to have to go. Exceeded my cap limit on data. Oh, man. $4 a gigabyte. What a ripoff. Man, sorry, man. Take care. $4 a gigabyte. What a ripoff these companies have, WF7i Homebrew, I sent you an email with this idea. Was wondering if there could be a way for others to join the dive. Yeah, you know what? I saw your email. So, you know what? I have talked about it a little bit and have kind of asked if people wanted to do some kind of either Skype or something. What's happening is that people are relatively shy, and when you do a call of people to join in, nobody does it. Nobody comes up front and does it. And another example in the live barbecue, we've been doing this I think 2 years in a row, and the live show from the CIDX barbecue in the summer, Sheldon always sets up is Skype so that people can actually join in via Skype, and nobody ever calls. It seems to be something difficult to have people participating, and people are, a lot of people are okay in the chat room because it's, text, they're behind their screen, but it's a different thing when you ask a participation of somebody that's going to show his face up on a live stream. That's much different. So I'm not really going there because I kind of sense that very few people want to actually participate and do something like that. But yes, it would be actually fun. Absolutely. Randy in Riverside, California. Nice to have you on board. William Helms, nice to have you on board from Florida. Rodrigo Galter, nice to have you here, my friend, from Brazil, PT7105SWL. Cool, nice to have you here. Max Estrong, what frequency did you hear the ship to shore phone on? Well, there's actually a set of maritime frequencies. You know, we were talking about I should do videos on maritime, on utilities. So I did videos on utilities, so I think it's going to be important. But there's a utility that time that I heard was around 12 in the 12 megahertz region. But I've heard also in the 8 megahertz region. So you know what? I think that is a great example that I need to do a few videos of what are the different aeronautical bands, the different marine or maritime bands, the different utility stuff out there. I think it's something that we need to do, absolutely. Rodrigo Galter's got Vatican Radio 7305 Portuguese. Nick Mayakovsky says my PL880 fell on the floor after being blown off a shelf by a huge gust of wind. Broke the faceplate. Bummer. Don't know if I should live with it or order a new plate or what. Yeah, I know the feel. You know, it's heartbroken. It's really heartbroken. You're really heartbroken because when we break a radio, it breaks our heart. If it still works fine and you can live with the fact that it doesn't matter and still works, you can just live with it. But I totally understand the feel. Tom Jones says, back in the 90s, shortwave bands were alive with activity. I had a DX392 SSB receiver without a gain control and great antenna setup. Was awesome. There's still a lot of activity. But of course, it's not like the early 90s. That's for sure. But there's still a lot of stuff out there. What is the biggest problem, and I see it all the time, is the noise that we have around us. All the electronic devices that create tons and tons of noise around us. Shelly Sykes, nice to have you here. South Central Pennsylvania. Eddie Essex, nice to have you here. Northern Dawn, a lot of portables seem to have orange displays. Yeah, it's because of the LEDs that they use, you know, and also the a lot of new Ethon receivers have, you know, kind of a orangish look to the feel. I actually like the colors of this type of display, but you know, there's all sorts of feel. So you got this orangish feel to the display like this, and you've got also the and you know, I think it comes from the LEDs that are actually orange. Simply, I don't know, somebody somewhere had a good deal on orange LEDs for displays, because of course, you know, you also have these receivers like this the Texan PL680 that has, you know, an orange background when you turn on the lights. The only ones, there's a few ones that are exceptional, like the XH Data. XH Data is breaking the rule with a very bright bluish white LED that I like. I think it's a nice display, honestly. So, you know, but yes, orange seems to be used a lot. I guess there's a lot of there was probably a sale on orange LEDs at some point, and they all jumped on it because they wanted to make the radios as cheap as possible. You're watching the live shortwave show from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I'm on my beer number 2, which is a cranberry flavored ephemer beer. And we are talking about radio, I think. And of course, everybody's welcome. You can join our Facebook page at which is the official SWL channel Facebook page. There, post pictures of your radios, your shack. Somebody actually sent me a personal email telling me that he was actually shy to post any pictures of what he has because all he had was a small Texan R9012 analog portable. And I don't want that. I don't want people to feel, that because they only have this or that it's not worth it and it shouldn't be worth it. Or, I'm shy. You guys got 10,000, radios. And, it's like I've got tons of radios. I got $1,000 radios. I've got all sorts of portables. And some people are kind of shy saying, well, I got only that because, yeah, I understand. Like somebody today posted on the channel, well, that's a nice radio, but I'll never have the money to buy one. Yeah, I get it. It's the world we live in is like that, and unfortunately, it's brutal, and we don't have all the same possibilities. But whatever you use, I'd rather have somebody use a $20 radio and use it a lot than see some guy with a $15,000 radio that he turns on once a year. That's a waste, and that is much sadder than having one basic radio that you use all the time and you really just enjoy yourself with it. And that's the important thing to understand. And you should never be shy of sharing whatever you have, whatever it looks like. It's, we just want to see the radio and see what you use and what you like. And that's it. It could be an old radio from the 50s, the 30s, the 40s. It could be just one tube radio that I got that and I never bought anything else. You listen to it, you use it. Well, it's better than, a lot of hams have. You'd be surprised at how many hams got the really huge big station with all these $1,000 radios across the wall and try to find where or when they actually operate. And sometimes you wonder, okay, you got all these radios, you got your ham license, but I've never heard you on the air. It's like some kind of, I don't know, you're some kind of ghost. Maybe we, just never noticed. So never be shy, okay? Everything's fine. Honestly, it's just great. Okay. What else do we have? R. Walker says, heard a part today called Radio Diana. Yeah, I saw a post on HF Underground called Radio Diana International or something like that. They said they are on a pesky fishing boat off the east coast of North America. That's a pirate. That is nice. R. Walker says, regarding the Skype thing, what works for a lot of other YouTube channels which do call-ins is just streaming their voice. Yeah, that's what people are probably better at, just having a voice. Maybe that's what we should do, have some kind of audio of you guys. And no necessarily no pictures. Maybe that would be the best thing to do. Jerry DX, Google's quantum computer. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm following that a lot. That's going to be quite amazing when we do something with quantum computing that could be easily affordable. For sure. Bolin 191, nice to have you on board. Yes, the beer is actually very good. John McClure, nice to have you here. Bro Weaver, nice to have you here, says, I know ham radios have displays that change colors. When will we get a shortwave radio with a color changing display? That's a good idea. You got to ask manufacturers, honestly, because that's where we'll all get that. Honestly, what happens with portable radios is that, like a lot of electronics, it's got to be the lowest price possible. And if, that changing color display ups the price of the radio by $1, well, they're afraid that they're going to sell less. So they actually do the minimum. But it would actually be very, very nice to have a color changing display on a radio for sure. For sure. William Moser loves old radios, and they are nice. Old radios are really, really cool, honestly. Joey D, forgot to tell you that I post as Joseph Anthony on your page. Yep, cool. No matter how small or big a shack station is, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. Absolutely, Joey D. Totally right. Totally right. V3KRP says, I know a lot of fellow hams with a big station. I make more QSOs in a day than some in a month or year. Yep. WFI Onbrew says, would love the audio streaming content from other users too. Just a way for people to join in, but put a voice with the name. Facebook has a great idea too. Gives a way for people to connect. Yeah, that's something I need to check out. Maybe we could have audio call-ins. So we could use Skype for audio. We could use different ways with audio. That could be interesting. Maybe even apps that would just do like call-ins. Okay, let me think about that. But maybe that would be more of a way to have some interaction here for sure. V3KRP 20 meters was good today. Falkland Islands worked on FT4. Wow, that is nice. That is nice. Totally down there in the tip of South America near Argentina. Every time I hear Falkland Islands, it always reminds me of the 80s when the UK went there and kind of invaded or something. You know, kind of the same thing when I hear Grenada, when the US invaded Grenada. You know. Bro Weaver, why do pirates today broadcast anywhere? But back in the pre-internet days, they always broadcast from ships or boats. Actually, here's the thing that happened, Bro Weaver, is that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, the governments had a lot more ways of actually arresting and finding pirates. There was a lot more people working for the FCC or here in Canada was with the CRTC at the time. There was a lot more inspectors, a lot more people. They had the manpower to pin down pirate stations that they don't have today. So one of the ways that you could kind of avoid that, an example was Radio Caroline. One was Radio New York International. That once was like that. Is that they would get on a boat, and of course, there's a certain limit. So if you go out like 200 miles, you're outside the boundaries of a country, and you're in international waters. Now, it doesn't mean there's no rules. International waters still have rules, and you still need license to broadcast even from there. But the idea was, I'm going to be somewhere in the ocean, and so I will broadcast from here, and I'm not, controlled by U.S. laws, for example, because I'm not on U.S. territory. I'm in international waters. So a lot of the pirates back then did things like that. Today, there's like a handful of people working, and these people are already probably overused with all that's happening within the own AM/FM broadcast band. So shortwave is like not important, and it's of course more difficult to find where you are on shortwave and pinpoint where you are on a broadcast, because on FM, you're broadcasting line of sight. If I broadcast an FM pirate station here, I'll be caught because they'll be able to pinpoint easily, well, it comes from there. And they're going to look at where antennas are. And obviously, here, they're going to find a lot of antennas. So they're going to say, well, it's that guy, And that's how they actually get a lot of FM pirates in the United States. We hear, the FCC actually, arresting and giving fines to a lot of pirate operators on the FM band. But on shortwave, it's different because of the ionosphere, the way it propagates. You can get you can triangulate with 3 stations or more approximately where this comes from, but you're not pinpointing exactly where it is. There's kind of an area. So unless you interfere with something really important, you're probably going to get okay and be okay broadcasting a pirate station on shortwave. And that's why they feel more comfortable and being in a certain band all the time and broadcasting. So the pirates in the northeast of North America, for example, they're always the same. I suspect that half of the pirates are all coming from the same transmitter. Some of them out there don't have their own transmitters. They actually work with someone that relays that. So in reality, there may be just, a handful of pirate transmitters in the overall, all the pirates that you see. But because it's shortwave, it's not as important, and it's not as, it's something that unless you're interfering with something important, they're not going to check out much. And that's why they don't have to go out to sea and drown to do pirate stations. Can you buy a shortwave license for receive? William Conlon. Well, actually, you don't need a license, but you can get a shortwave listener call. Yes. Bobby Burgess has one, and many of you have one. Why should you get a shortwave call? Well, first of all, for the fun. Maybe I should get one. I never did. Maybe I should actually get myself a certificate for radio listener. Just for the fun of it. I think it'd be cool. But one of the things that is fun with that also is that, for example, say that you are DXing medium wave stations. AM stations on the AM band, they don't have the budget to answer back most of the time. So they rarely do answer back. They rarely do or are interested in knowing that, I heard, WCBS in New York. They probably don't care. It's not their target audience is not Montreal. But if you have your own listener call, you can create your own QSL card and create, for example, send it to them with all that is needed to send it back without them having a cost. So you'll have a, self-addressed stamped envelope, for example. All they have to do is, sign it or stamp it or do something like that. So by having your own listener call, well, it makes it kind of more official, that you're an official monitor, for example. So, but you can get your own call, yes. Eric Richards, nice to have you on board from Arkansas. KI5BZO. Pretty cool. Bolin 191, where you'd go to hear RTTY? Well, the amateur radio bands that we're supposed to talk about tonight are a good start. There's a lot of RTTY still on the amateur radio bands. On the regular shortwave bands and utilities, one form of RTTY, which is Amtor or Sitor or Navtex. Sorry, Navtex. Which is also C2RB. Navtex is a form of RTTY that can be listened to weather broadcasts. But if you're talking about great, standard radio teletype, the bottom part of the amateur radio bands, there's a lot of radio teletype there. And it's one of the modes that not used as much as in the past, but still there's some stuff. There are some. I've heard quite a lot of RTTY in the past few months. R. Walker says, also there were more powers back then. The only way someone could play music for other people was radio. Now many who would have been pirates have internet radio stations. CJ. Jay Scott, nice to have you on board from Corpus Christi. So you're away down in New Zealand. Buzz Gold, nice to have you here. Thanks for sharing your passion with us. I'm having great fun learning. Cool. Well, I'm here for that. And you know, honestly, I'm here to have fun. I am here to have fun. Radio is and was and has been part of my life for such a long time now. I mean, you know, we find things as I grew up. I mean, so my first encounter with radio. Some of you know it. My first encounter with radio, really. I mean, you know, radio is in the background. I remember going to school and my mom was listening to the kitchen radio. Kitchen radio was, I think, working 12 hours a day. The kitchen radio was always there on either the CBC or back then she would listen to different stations. My mom would actually tune different stations through the day. She would, in the morning I would go to school with the CBC in French. At noon I would go home. I would be watching the Flintstones on TV while I was eating. But my mom would have a different station like CKVL 850 or CKAC 730 back then. And I would go home at night and there was another station. She would listen to something else. And so she would tune around. There were different programs on different stations. So there was that background noise, actually. I would wake up in the morning and the news was playing on CBC. There was that morning program back then. Then my sister, one of my sisters, Carol, bought me a Ernie in the Bathtub AM radio that actually I see from time to time go by on eBay that I would love to have one. I would love to have one. Ernie in the Bathtub radio. It was an AM radio. And so for people that know Sesame Street, Bert and Ernie. So there was Ernie in the Bathtub radio, which was kind of cute. And I listened to that radio a lot. And you know what? That radio, I don't know what age I was when I got it exactly. But I remember that radio I tuned around with. I probably listened to my first music. Because, yes, there was that period of time when you would listen to music on AM radio. And I am old enough for being in that period of time. I remember a call-in show where people would call in with their favorite songs they would hear every night. And it was so funny because now I think about it. And always the same people calling in on the show, always asking the same songs every night after night after night. I remember I called once, and I was actually so scared calling a station and hearing my voice on the radio. I was trembling like this while waiting for my turn to be on the air. I was so nervous, and they had just played not Billie Jean because it was older a little bit, like Michael Jackson song, like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, like 79, something like that. And I remember calling, and I was so nervous that I actually asked for the same song that played 2 minutes earlier from Michael Jackson. And I remember the woman at the other end saying, "But we just played that song." And I remember just saying, "We'll play it again." Oh, man. So that was my entry into radio. Then, of course, the multiband radios. My dad bought multiband receivers, which kind of... I don't know what model we had. I remember the one we had with, like, you'd open the plate. There was a world map at the top. And there was, a VHF low, VHF high. There was shortwave, SW1, SW2, AM, FM, the airband, and all of that. I remember my friends being really impressed because I'd actually been able to listen to airplanes, and he didn't think that we could listen to airband. They thought that, people have these way of thinking. People think that things that exist in communications are encrypted. And for a long time, I remember people telling me, "Oh, you're not allowed to listen to the police on a scanner radio." And that was for a long time, something that people believed. They would see me outside listening to the cops and saying, "Well, you can't listen to that; it's illegal." There's nothing illegal about listening to the cops at all, But people have this way of thinking, and I remember listening to my neighbor on the other side of the street coming in and said, "Oh, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm listening to airplanes. I'm listening to the airport." I remember him telling him, "No, with that, it's impossible. You need super high-hand equipment, and anyways, it's encrypted. I'm sure that you can't listen to the planes easily in that." And as he's saying that, plane comes through and says, "Air Canada 455, blah 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 blah," and he's like, "Oh God, you're listening to that was a plane. Told you." And all that happens today, the reason I'm here, it just comes from all of that, all from the past of my passion for radio. And you got to thank my dad mostly, because most of it is my dad. Probably my sister, because I did have that first entry into radio with that Ernie in the bathtub. But without that, I wouldn't be here. I had the occasion of having so many different passions back then. I remember when my dad came home with a Commodore VIC-20. First ever computer I've ever seen. And back then, the VIC-20 came in, I was already a shortwave radio listener. I was using my DX100. And one night, the VIC-20 stayed on the table for like ages, doing nothing. My dad would open it, but he wouldn't understand it. My dad was the kind of guy that would buy it, but like the VIC-20 or a computer was too complex. Even shortwave, even radios. My dad was always amazed that I could have these things working. And I didn't understand half of it. I didn't even understand 20% of it. But what I had was I had the will to try it and tune around and see whatever. My dad was not very educated. My dad could not barely read, honestly. And so I think it was a way for him to, I remember my dad in a very colorful and probably not the best way in the world tell me that, he was so ashamed of not being educated that he wanted me to be really educated, to be someone. He wanted me to be what he's not. And he told me in a way that wasn't. It's a very complex way of back then, because it was very complex times. But today I understand it. Today I see it as, because when you're a teenager, your parents, you always some tension. I had tension with my parents, and it was a very complicated thing when I was young here. But back then I saw it as kind of a, what do you want, old man? I was more in that mode with like, get away, old man, Today I look at the same thing and I'm like, no, okay. It was his way of not being able to communicate really well and telling me, I want you to do great things in your life. And I want you to be educated and to know stuff. And some of the stuff he bought, like the computer, was probably towards that. If there's a computer in the house, because he was very curious about everything. He had that. He still has it today. He's still alive at 89 years old. He's 89 years old. Crazy. But and he still has that today, that curiosity of things. We don't really talk because that's another side of the story, but thing is, I understand today that, some of the things he did is because he knew that, maybe that will have you learn things that are very, very important in life, and you'll be someone. So without all of that, I wouldn't be here. That's for sure. I mean, there are two things that bring me here from that time. I mean, that VIC-20 brought me into computers, and I became a computer geek. That radio brought me into radio, and I became a radio geek. And today we're matching both the radio guy and the computer guy together into what is here. And of course, a little bit more, but it's crazy when you think about it. It's crazy when you think about it. Okay, let's try to see what else. Okay. Bolin 191. Did you ever hear sweeping mechanical garble sweeping across 27? What is this? Some sort of meteor scatter? Well, actually, across the HF bands, there's across the HF bands, there's what we call ionospheric sounders. And so that is one of the things that could be. But also, 27 megahertz. And I'm wondering if that sweeping, kind of garbled sweeping, I'm pretty sure that it's probably what I have in my head. And a lot of things over time came through in a... there's a lot of machinery that actually were working on the 27 megahertz band. There are some frequencies that are, reserved for radio control and stuff. So maybe there's some stuff there. But there are things that definitely I've always wondered what they were and never understood what they were, actually. I think I understand what you're asking, Bolden 191. If it's what I have in my head as a sound that I can't, unfortunately, recreate... I don't know what that could be. That always baffled me even back then. WF7IO Bruce says, discovered that adding a simple 10 kiloohm pot to the antenna input of the DX100 as an RF gain control allows for much better SSB reception. Yeah, the problem with the SSB is that it's often... Oh, Corpus Christi, Texas. Yes, radioactive. I didn't think about it. It could be Texas or New Zealand. Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know why I jumped to the conclusion it was New Zealand, but of course, Corpus Christi, Texas is probably even more possible and plausible than New Zealand. So, yeah, because one of the biggest problems of the DX100 is that the SSB decoding is bad because it overloads. It's too strong. For sure. Bro Weaver watching the Flintstones. Fred smoked Winston's. Expeditions, like back in the 80s, I used to watch the Flintstones when I went home for lunch. Take care, Simon Templar. Okay, Texas, J. Scott. Sorry. My problem, my error, my mistake. Texas. Bro Weaver, the Flintstone was for adults. David Martin, anyone else seeing those strong high to low sweeps 44? Yep, absolutely. These are CODAR. It's a CODAR. It's an ocean wave radar. So they actually can see and sense the size of the ocean waves. There's actually some on the 13 megahertz range also in the daytime. Oh yeah, Moria 30, absolutely. I hear a lot of stations that still play music on medium wave. Absolutely, for sure. William Moser says, my first was a patrolman. Oh my god, I love that radio. Oh man. KK, nice to have you here. Ham Extra says, WTWW still lets listeners request songs. 5085, lots of fun, great music. Cool. Kevin Wood says, my mom kept the kitchen radio welded into CFRB 1010. I still remember hearing the Lone Ranger. Wow. My favorite radio station on shortwave. I can't say I have a favorite radio station. I go around and I love most stations. I love a lot of the stations. Favorite, I wouldn't go there into saying there's a favorite. I used to have favorites. I remember that HCJB was one of my favorites back then, you know. But no, I can't say there's really a favorite, you know. No, it's not a transoceanic because it was really a cheap multiband. A cheap transistor multiband that was at... here we had a chain of stores in Canada that was called Consumer Distributing. Very weird type of store. Tom Jones, do these portables SSB receivers with the RF gain switches on the side bring the gain down low enough to get a decent sound with a big long wire? My old radio had an RF gain knob. A lot of the portables are actually can even handle SSB quite well, decent, but not all of them for sure. You gotta choose your portable. All right, 61. Nice to have you here. David Martin says, thanks, I need to read up on Kodar. Now I recognize the waterfall and sound. To understand how they process this to yield oceanographic data. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Alright, 61 says, my dad worked in a factory but taught me the common sense I couldn't pick up myself. Kimberly, K6YL, my love of radio started on long drives we took as a family going camping. When I was very young and my parents would listen to AM radio in the car. Distant stations would disappear in the daylight. David Martin, VIC-20 or Timex Sinclair? Oh, man. Kimberly says, then my parents had a shortwave radio I listened to, and then my dad had a CB in his car and talked on it. Loved it. Cool. Tom Jones used to sit in my mom's car on the summer nights and listen to AM. QE3KRP, I share your passion for radio, Joel. I use the VIC-20 to track W5LFL and the shuttle STS-9, who was the first ham to talk to hams on the ground. I even got a recording on 2 meters. Wow. Radioactive says he's got lots of sweeping garbledness in his head. Too much radio. Ziegfeld Sprints. CHML is loud and clear at night here in Brooklyn. Northern Dawn, I used to mess with shortwave and CB when younger. Recently rekindled my interest in the hobby. Cool. Cool. Nice to have you here. It's fun to hear everybody's, first radio and the way that they got into radio also. Terry cooks some diathermy eating machines. Operating around 27 megahertz. Maybe that's what we hear, and we never knew. David Martin, forward-looking and supportive parents are the best. Our Walker, there are also in Europe pagers using POXAG on 27 megahertz. You can sometimes hear them via sporadic e-skip. Bro Weaver, when shortwave stations play music, do they have to pay the artists like FM stations? From what I understand, there are different types of rules that prevent a shortwave station from having to pay an artist. I don't remember where I've read it, but I've read that there's a different way of... A shortwave doesn't abide by the same rules as FM stations do on that side of things. And that's why they can actually almost play anything in music, and it doesn't matter. Yes, VNA, I am 1080p. Absolutely. I've been in 1080p for a long time now. Pretty much. I went down to 720 on my older laptop because it was asking a little too much, but the newer laptop I upped it back to 1080. I didn't know you didn't know that. I'm on 1080p. Absolutely, this camera is actually fantastic on quality. Kimberly, fast forward. I'm now studying my extra class amateur radio license. It's not easy. I'm really trying to get into my brain. Cool. You're going to get there. You're going to get there. For sure. Hey, Cholakov. Nice to have you on board, Ivan. So, yeah, we start at 0 UT, 7 p.m. Eastern. You'll be able to do it, Kimberly. One day I'll come in a chat room and say, hey, I got my extra class. David Martin begged for a TRS-80 or an Apple II Plus in high school. Wow. Arthur's Alleycrafter's Kitchen just posted photos of his Grundig 7028 console. Not to worry, like the Alleycrafters, it's lovingly listened to regularly. I hope. Radioactive says Radio New Zealand International favorite shortwave stations today. William Helms, friend of my brother's working at Guitar Center, and at the time loved how consumed I am with anything technical. I told her that would been great running a stereo shop 50 years ago. R. Walker, if it is above the CB band, the U.S. military use AL between CB and 10 meter as a gurgling. It's not AL. I think I know what he means by that gurgling sound, because I've heard it so many times here. And I've always wondered what it was, and never did I know what it was. I don't know if it's still around today. I would have to tune in the 27 megahertz range and see if anything like that still comes on today. Our DXer favorite station of all time was HTJB in English, also Radio Clarin in Santo Domingo. Ivan says this new microphone is too professional for the show. WF79, what is the roaring noise on 6458? Let me just check it out here. I don't have... Yeah, I got... Yeah, that white noise, it's kind of a white noise-ish thing that I got here. It's weak. I think that is... I'm not sure. That could be some kind of radar. I don't know. Paul Woodman. Ramsey SR2, bought for $10. 100 feet of wire on the ground, but can't pick up anything up. Is there a certain time to listen to? I'm in Alaska. In Alaska, you are, first of all, welcome aboard. In Alaska, it's probably one of those places where it's a little harder to listen to. One thing for sure is that wire needs to be off the ground, so try to put it in the air somehow. Even if it's just a couple of feet, it will be already better than on the ground. The other thing is you need to know if that radio works. And that's the important thing. Maybe you're not hearing anything because the radio isn't working. If there's not a lot of people around you, if you're living in a rural area mostly, I can't think that in Alaska you got a lot of noise around. Gunner66, did I listen to Radio Canada International much, or were you more to distant stations? Radio Canada International was always part of my listening in an evening. Especially, I remember when I started my full-time jobs. I would come home and be tired. I was like, 19, 20 years old, and would come home, and I was a little tired. And I would listen to Shortwave in the evening, many weekday evenings. And part of my listening, one of the stations I would often listen to was Radio Canada International, because I thought they had some interesting Some interesting programs, honestly. The most sensitive CB I've ever come across. Wow. I don't know. I can't say because I got the Navajo base station here that I've been using since, I don't use it really much now, but I used when I was a teen, and I always thought it was a pretty sensitive radio. Apart from that, I would guess, maybe a good shortwave radio is very, very, very good and very sensitive too. Joe Somerda US has started to get more attention with medium wave stations after some bus trips to my parents' hometown. Impressive how far the local medium wave stations can go on the road. Absolutely. I remember one of the things that I actually had a lot of fun with when I was 11 or 12. So, okay, let's go back even a little older than that. So let's go back to 1978, 79. My dad bought some land in a place called La Concepcion, which is a very small town, not that far from Mont Tremblant, which is a very popular resort place here in the north of Montreal. It's about 2 hours from Montreal north. And he built a shack there. And it's a very mountainous area. And so FM stations were out of the question. There was no FM stations coming through the mountains there. But I was amazed because I remember one of the things I would listen to a lot back then was the Expos baseball games. I would love to listen to the Expos. Basically the what I always was amazed is that even if there's no FM stations around, I could listen to CKAC 730 from Montreal there with all the mountains and everything. And it was just magical. And the AM band was pretty much the only place I would listen to stuff until one day I put a wire in a tree and I was able to listen to a rock station coming off of Ottawa on the FM band, which was the only station I could hear with music. But I remember it was kind of fun. It was something that I found amazing that you could, listen to AM stations, even with all the mountains around. Tom Jones, my first shortwave radio was a cheap broken one I saw in a dollar store. I gave them $5 and took it home and repaired it. Worked great. Cool. Remember the model? I don't remember the models of some of them when I was really young. The fastest I talked in FM. I don't get a question. Barbie Burgess, Hemisphere is still around. Yes, absolutely. I'm getting emails all the time on how I don't use my Hemisphere stuff. I have a Hemisphere call, but I've never used it. It's still around, absolutely, Bobby Burgess. Martin Herrera J, nice to have you on board, and nice to have you here from Pachuca in Mexico. Wow, welcome aboard. I don't recall we ever had somebody from Mexico before, did we? I think you're the first one from Mexico. Welcome aboard, my friend. RFDXer, FT4 is very recent. 1 to 2 years max. These FT modes are fairly recent. They are being done out of research. And they aren't really they are really 5 years ago they didn't exist, and they are very recent actually. Yvonne says WRMI told me they are covered by a B canker agreement, and I can play any music I want when I buy their airtime. A blanket, yeah, okay. Yeah, there's something that they don't have the same rules as an FM station. Fast load, nice to have you here. I just saw your text message with the IC 735 that you fixed. Congratulations. So you're on business tonight in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Joe Summer on US. But if you make a video of shortwave of SWL that is playing a music, even on S1 fading signal in or out, YouTube cares. Yeah, YouTube isn't the same thing because YouTube is bound by all sorts of agreements of all sorts. So you got to be very, very careful with YouTube what you post, what you say, and what you do, and what you show, because there are like a gazillion rules. You know, the funniest part is that for the majority of YouTubers, probably 90% of YouTubers break rules. But as long as nobody complains, you're okay. It's, you know, pretty much the way it happens. But on the music side, you know what? The funniest thing, Joe, somebody on US, is I posted pirate station videos that are way down in the noise. One that I remembered, that just made me laugh. I posted a pirate station, it was like last year. And it was very weak, but they were playing a Scorpion song. It took 8 months for YouTube to actually tell me that finally that video had music and that I had a copyright infringement. But it took 8 months before they actually had that algorithm understand that within that noise there was a Scorpion song. It just made me laugh. Of the Dawn, nice to have you here. I got a Toronto shortwave station last night playing coast to coast. Never had got it before using the PL660 in Alabama. Yeah, you were on 6070 probably. That was CFRB Toronto, which is CFRX on shortwave. Unless you got it on, well, you say shortwave station, so it's CFRX Toronto, 6070. Robert Chine, nice to have you here. So many signals are generated right in your own home and neighborhood. Oh, that totally. It's possible. I'm not sure it's a Stanag, honestly. It's too wide of signal, WF7i, because it does sound like it. Okay, it sounds very close to it, but that what I see here is, let me just check it out here. Some very, very wide band, because there's, let me just check it out here. But I don't think that's Stanag. I think it's too wide for Stanag WF7i. Because I hear it here, it's weak. But it's very wide band. Stanag is narrower. It's a very narrow signal in Stanag. William Helms, I'm into old cars and outlaw drag racing when I'm outside of shortwave and tape recorders. We all have our whole, you know, I mean, I think we all have more than one hobby in general. You know, I mean, computer was one also for me. Music was a huge one also. I mean, I could not live in a world without music. I mean, music is, I think, in the overall scheme of things, music is probably what keeps me sane. You know, when I'm sad, when I'm mad, when I'm whatever, I just put on some music, and it's kind of probably kind of fixing some of that, you know, mood swing or whatever, you know. Yeah, as it happens. They had that song, dun 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 dun. Tonight on As It Happens, we will have that woman that lost her cat for 10 years and it came back home, which was the kind of things you would hear on As It Happens, actually. Yeah, Ivan. Milroy Peter, in the morning I get Radio New Zealand, Steny 765. Yeah, it's a great frequency actually for New Zealand. Absolutely. It's one of those frequencies. I heard it the other day. I woke. There was a moment of miracle last week when I woke up like at 7 a.m. and I think they were still on 97.65, and they were coming in really well. actually. Radioactive says, with the antenna wire so close to the ground, the antenna will be very near vertical incident skywave, so no DXing. Yeah. Yeah, especially in Alaska, you probably have a lot of trees where you can send that wire into. For sure. Radioactive says, old Cobra 148 GTL, very sensitive. Tom Jones. Well, you'd be surprised, Tom Jones. In the summertime, even Alaska probably has thunderstorms. That is very, very, very... that could be very surprising. Cousins in Cali. Oh, yeah, you know. There's always a lot. There was always some of those haters. Man. Oh, okay. Paul Winman, sorry, I have a ground rod and 100 feet of wire is at least 5 feet out the ground, or something very faint. Because I know in Alaska, you're in the West Coast, and Alaska is not the place where a lot of stations target their transmissions. But if you don't have a lot of noise around you, I'm suspecting you might have some kind of faulty radio there, for sure. Same here, Tom Jones. There's a lot of the radios I had in my early years. I have no idea of the model number. KK says, from Fiji Island, following you since 7 years. Owner of a Texan 600 and Degen 1103. Cool, KK. Yeah, FT and JT mode are just really contact modes, basically. Hey, Matt. Nice to have you here. I'm DK2. Nice to have you on board. Or at 3:30. Yeah, but you know what? The algorithm of YouTube is just so good that it just reports itself. The computers actually find the music. Dark Noise, nice to have you on board from the Netherlands, where it's probably very early in the morning. Robert Shine, my first radio was a I think it was a Joyce that you meant, maybe. CB, with my grandfather had. Then I bought a 120 S120 Alcrafters. And on the music licensing thing, I worked for a streaming station that closed down due to stream license rules. We paid, but they didn't. So there's a lot of issues with music stations paying. Yeah, absolutely. YouTube is part of all of that. It's crazy. WF7i says, interesting. I don't have an SDR, so I can't really see the waterfall on it. Wonder what it is. Some many odd things on shortwave. Yeah. I suspect that some kind of radar, I would say, probably. But yeah, there's a lot of weird things happening on shortwave. That maybe is one of the things that keeps us listening in to shortwave also. So, talking of, yeah, CHU 3330 is amazingly strong. Absolutely. Wow. Really strong tonight. Talking of CHU, guys, if you want to try CHU on 7850, the CHU webpage states that 7850 is offline. So don't try to listen to CHU 7850. They're offline for now. I don't know why and when they're going to come back, but maybe some transmitter problem of some sort. 7850 had some problems in the past with the transmission line, I believe, being damaged or had some kind of problem. So I don't know if it has to do with that again. But only two frequencies working for CHU time signal, 3330 and 14670. 7850 is off. It's been it's actually left the airwaves October the 29th apparently. So if you don't hear it, don't be surprised. It's off right now. Take care, iRight61. It was nice to have you on board. Yeah, standing is kind of a hodgepodge of noise, but it doesn't... I'm not sure if it's that. It doesn't sound quite like it. Jay Watterson 69, nice to have you here, my friend. Radioactive says KNLS should be strong up there in Alaska. Yes and no, because KNLS might be actually skipping over where people living in Alaska, especially with the frequencies they're using. Kevin Wood says, yesterday evening driving home from Lunenburg, 540 CBC St. John's, 570 VOCM, 580 CFRA, CKGM, and so much more. Wow. Cool. Richard Menger, nice to have you here. Ziegfeld Sprint's northern areas also have a lot of weird atmospheric conditions and room reception. The closer you are to the poles, the more you are subject to the ionospheric conditions due to the geomagnetic field and everything. C. Johnson. That's a clock. You're talking about CHU? Yes. Time signal. Kevin Wood says 7850 nada. Yeah, they're off the air. V3KRP JS8 call is a digital QSO mode. It's mostly QSO stuff. It's really, really basic information being sent out. Radioactive picking up CHU 3330, okay. Yeah, here is really strong. R. Walker been picking up CHU strong on 14670 on the day and strong on 3330 at night. Cool. Here 14670 is it's a forget it. It skips over here all the time. Matt says, yesterday I had Radio Guinea pretty well in 9650. Was mostly talk, unfortunately. Robert Shine, are number stations still anything of interest? Absolutely. And there's a lot of them too. You got to go to the Priom website. It's PRIYOM website, which is a very, very good site for the schedules of all the known number stations. Numbers and Oddities, by the way. I need to make a video again about that. Numbers and Oddities is a great page. They have monthly PDF bulletins of all the weird stuff on shortwave, trying to identify what it is. Numbers and Oddities is also a great, great resource of all sorts of weird things on the bands. There's still a lot of stuff that is happening on the bands that is really weird, and it's like, wow. You know, it shows you there's some interest on the shortwave bands. There's some stuff that need to be used there because there's always new things popping up all the time. Tom Jones, when I played in bands, some of our equipment received shortwave or CB signals. It would scare the audience to death. I remember playing guitar with a friend that lived close to the antennas on the Mount Royal here with the CBC and all of that. And when the guitar amplifier, when we would have really cheap cables rather than really good quality cables, we would hear all the AM stations actually in the Marshall amplifier. Joey D says, the other day I was tuned to 15 megahertz WWV. Every so often a voice interruption chimed in, letting people know about some contest or testing. Actually, you might have been listening to the announcements where they are actually talking about the 100 years of WWV stuff. I would guess because they are celebrating 100 years this year. Trimbelli, Mr. Bale, nice to have you here. Yeah, probably Ziegfeld sprints because Norway, Alaska, it's probably same type of conditions. Even here, 45.5 degrees north, it's so much different than just 40 and 35 and 30 north. The closer you are to the poles, the way different is propagation. Terry Cook, take care, my friend. See you Friday, 20 UTC. Yeah, when you're close, CHU here is almost 24 hours, most of the time. Almost 24 hours. V3KRP, take care, my friend. Have a great evening. Thanks, Matt, for sharing. Preom.org. Prasad Asal Dekar did an ATM scan on the PL380 with a small 15 feet wire attached around 7:20 a.m., which is 0150 UT for the first time. Could find only 6 stations. 3 were noise. BBC 9410. The other were 2 all India radio stations. Do the same thing in an area where there's far away from the houses, Prasad, and you'll see a big difference. And instead of having 6, you'll have much more, probably. Our Walker, number stations got me listening to shortwave. I thought it was just something from the movie Number Stations. Then I came across someone on YouTube who was listening to one on an SDR dongle. Joseph, nice to have you on board from Tampa. Yeah, that's, what? There's the Microsoft Ignite conference in Orlando. And I was actually participating today with some of my friends into a live stream talking about the conference. And there were a couple of people in the live stream that were from there. And they were saying it's crazy hot and humid, and they didn't like it. Take care, Matt. See you Friday. Yeah, our Walker, that's something we gotta not to forget. And you're not the only one. A lot of people on the channel here have been listening and have been on shortwave for the past, only the past couple of years. Some are actually on shortwave, listening to shortwave because of me, because of what I posted. Some were in the past listeners, but then left. They found a video of me and they just gave them the idea of coming back into listening to shortwave radio. And we gotta, we have to not forget that there are some newbies here that have been listening for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And not everybody knows of all the past of shortwave. And that, maybe it's a good thing in a way, because what you have is what you've seen in the past couple of years. And that's what shortwave is for you. A guy like me comes from a time where there were so many stations that of course, if you would compare it with today, you'd probably be depressed. But there's still a lot of stuff out there, and like I say, the biggest problem we have right now is noise, unfortunately. Oh man. Dave O'Toole, like an electric guitar crystal radio. Oh man. Of the dawn, on what frequency actually you're talking about? Low pulse, that's non-stop. What frequency are you listening at? Rodolfo65, take care, my friend. Joe Sombro Newhouse, take care. Robert Shine says, we need to get people interested. Shortwave is not dead. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we got to... I think we need to also promote for amateur radio, because there's a lot of amateur radio operators that are not there anymore. I saw an article where in the UK they're searching for a way to have a young generation come into the hobby, how they should do it. Because a lot of people in the hobby are wondering, how can I bring the young generation into what is amateur radio and all of that. RFDX, or the proposal of a CHU transmitter for Western Canada, has been there for 30 years at least. I don't think it's ever going to happen, honestly. But it's been there for it's been there forever. I'm pretty sure it's never going to happen. But yes, I know there is a proposal. There was a proposal to get a CHU transmitter. It would be nice. I would love to have, I don't know, a Vancouver CHU or something. Mike Hennis 261, nice to have you here. My dad talked on CB for all the years I lived at home. He came through our TV in the bedroom anytime he keyed up. Then got a radio controlled car for Christmas and drove it by itself. He keyed up and off and on and went. I remember having a great laugh because a friend of mine had a radio controlled car, and the direction of the car was dependent on audio frequencies. So when there was a high pitch tone, it would turn right. When there was a low pitch tone, it would turn left. And in the mid-section tone, it would just go forward. And I remember taking my CB without him knowing, and I would do ooh, 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 and he would go nuts because his little transmitter was like 100 milliwatts, but I would key up my 4-watt CB, which was overpowering, and with the tones of my voice, I would make the car turn in every direction. Oh man. He's scratched his head so many times as to what is happening. Why is it doing this? Is it broken? Oh, God. WF7I Homebrew. CHU is great here, too. As loud as ever heard it. WWV was also really degraded recently as the season changed. Yeah, for me, it's the other way around. WWV in the summertime, except for the low frequencies, like 5 megahertz, sometimes 10. Winter is great. 15 megahertz is always really good. Right now I've got a 5 megahertz is not that good right now, but it's about S8, S9. I got an S9 5 megahertz of WWV. On 5 megahertz. 2.5 is still a little early. I'm hearing it a little bit, but it's very early, 2.5. Jason Francis, nice to have you on board. Got his first QSL card today from Japan. Woohoo! Radio Japan QSLs are usually very beautiful. So I hope that you're enjoying that. And you know what? That first QSL is going to kind of propel you into wanting more. Because now that you're going to find it so cool to get a QSL card in the mail. It's really, really crazy. Ham Brothers, N3VXT. J. Scott, Noah Weather Radio does tests as well, but only between 10, 12 on Wednesdays. Yes, absolutely, for the weather alert system. Okay, off the dawn. WS7I Homebrew, just for your information, DX100 fans. I align mine via service manual. You can find online. Adjustments are quite easy, made just with a screwdriver and a signal generator. Yeah, I have the service manual actually, I think on my tablet. It's it's funny because honestly, the DX100 is such a simple receiver in reality. It's a very basic radio. It's just crazy when you see it. Gordon Lyle, nice to have you here. Missed the shortwave of 70s, 80s, and 90s. Yeah, of course, I would, if there would be a wish I would like is to go back when I want to listen to the 70s or 80s of shortwave. What probably is even more interesting, I would like to go back to the 80s, but with a good receiver, like I have today. I had the DX100 first, which is a rather crappy radio. The realistic DX302 is a crappy receiver. It overloaded so easily when there were too many signals, and made general shortwave listening much, much more difficult than it was in reality. I would like to go back to the 80s and with a really good radio and tune around the same bands and the same signals. I'm sure I would have heard a lot more. I did hear a lot, honestly, because I was a really big fan, so I heard a lot, but I'm sure I would have heard a lot more than that. R. Walker says that the other thing that shook me on shortwave is decoding HDFL and plotting the airline traffic on a map. That's something I need to do. I hear the HDFL bursts all the time. I need to try that also. VF7i can align the analog display to get it read very precise, actually. Cool. R. Walker was born in 95. Wow. I was born in 69. Back in the summer of 69. Oh, yeah. WF7i says, rig is as sensitive as ever been. Like 1982 days. Oh, man. I mean, I had so much fun with that, you know. Yarabamba. CHU is 80 years on the air since 1939. Oh, really? November 39 to November 2019. CHU Canada is 80 years now? Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Wow. Vianney. I haven't listened to any space signals on VHF for a while. Were they doing anything on 145-800 this week? Tom Jones says I use a small portables with rechargeable batteries because AC adapters. Yeah, most portables, you need to use batteries if you don't want to have too much, too much noise. Michael Netz, there's so much more than Brother Stare on the airwaves. Yeah, he's there, but there's a lot of other things. We gotta stop focusing on Brother Stare and focus on the other stuff that's on the airwaves. He's there because he pays the bills, and he pays the bills. But, I mean, my listening has a lot more than Brother Stare in it, I can tell you that. Nice to have you here. I remember somebody coming over here. Dave O'Toole says, explaining that listening to shortwave and people think it's internet. Somebody came here to fix something last year, and they saw my radios. And the guy remembers his dad listening in to some distant stations. And I said, oh, wow, cool, you're listening to that through satellites. And I said, no, that's not satellites. That's shortwave. It's via the ionosphere, which is, a part of our atmosphere that acts like a mirror for these frequencies. And you know what? He looked at me like I was crazy. Because I'm pretty sure he went out and said, well, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. That is via satellites. No, it's not. Trimbali, Mr. Bell. My dad has a touch turn on off desk lamp. Yeah. The lamp would cycle through its 4 stages. Yeah, absolutely. I remember my mom buying 2 lamps that were touch lamps. She plugged them in. I turned on my radio. I saw the buzzing everywhere, and I said, Mom, do you mind if first thing I said is, Mom, do you like the lamps? And she said, oh, I love them. They're beautiful. I said, is that touch thing really, really important for you? And she said, well, why? Because since you plugged in the lamps, I got the buzzing everywhere and I can't listen to the radio anymore. All I would do is open the base of the lamp, remove the circuit, and put a manual switch, on-off switch. She said, I don't care. I don't really care. As long as they work and they're beautiful. They're just beautiful and as they work. I said, okay. 24 hours later, there were some on-off switch, manual on-off switches, and the circuit wasn't there anymore. And the buzz went away. But Brother Stare does not control shortwave radio. There's so much more out there. Off the Dawn, how do you get cards? QSL cards? So, a lot of stations are giving out QSL cards. If you're talking, by the way, Robert Chan of 6,000 kilohertz or 6 megahertz exactly, it's Radio Havana, Cuba, and they have problems with their audio all the time. All the time. I just got it here. It's distorted. 6,000 kilohertz. Almost all of their Radio Havana, Cuba frequencies are off. Or they're distorted or no audio or have tons of problems. So, Of the Dawn, QSL cards are kind of like postcards you can get through the mail. Some stations send e-QSLs through email. So how do you get these? Well, you write to your stations that you actually hear, and you let them know that you're listening in. You let them know what frequency, what time, and what date. And you give at least 15 to 20 minutes of details, 15 to 20 minutes of details of the program you're listening to. And take the time to do this correctly. Take the time to let them know what you like about this program that they have and so on. Tell them that you're listening in regularly, that you like the programs, and, take the time to really do it right. And, well, if you give your postal address, you will have a QSL card in the mail. If they do e-QSLs, well, you'll have a QSL card through your email. And it's a great, great hobby. I got 4 or 5 big books with hundreds and hundreds of QSL cards from the 80s and up. And it's really, really fun way to enjoy the hobby also. What else do we have? Yeah, Radio Havana, Cuba. Yeah, 5920 is WWCR, I think. Vinny says, yeah, Money was hearing ISS on contact with other Amherst stations. Oh, really? Oh, wow. I didn't know they were having contacts here over the... I would have checked that out. I need to reset and to reinstall all of the VHF stuff to have it all right here. Yeah, Trimbelli, Mr. Bell, you're talking about these U.S. satellites that have these pirates on those UHF frequencies or VHF frequencies. Yeah, WF7I. The DX302 was... It's a nice looking radio, and it was my first radio with a digital display, but man, it just couldn't handle strong stations from then. It couldn't handle a band full of really strong stations. It was crazy. It was actually a really bad station, honestly. Milroy Peter, some people never heard of shortwave radio, so don't worry. Oh yeah, that's for sure. Actually, the majority of people never heard of shortwave radio. It's WHRI, Kevin Wood? Okay, WHRI. 5920. I never listened to these frequencies, so it's like 5920, 5935. It's like I kind of mix up WTWW, WWCR, WHRI quite a lot, because it's like, it's only 5085 that I know it's WTWW. Tom Jones, lots of people online say they'd rather listen to online radio station, but when the power goes out, my radio still work? Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. we do what we do, and we have what we do in a very very specific way, and we love radio. There's something about it that we just really love, and that is something that you can't really give anybody. You like what you like, or you don't like it, because over the years, I've seen so many people look at me and seeing my hobby and what I was doing. It's like, oh, wow, it's interesting. Nobody, honestly, nobody ever, got interested in it. They look at you like, oh, wow, oh, that's cool. Yeah, okay. I'm aware they're listening to distant stations and that static noise. It's all right. I'm okay with it now. I remember my brother when I was young. I would wake up and listen to the radio and says, "Oh, you're listening to that static again." Yeah, I'm listening to static. It's okay. So it's like you got it or you don't. It's something that is amazing for you or not. And I think it has to do with, I don't know. We got amazed at what radio waves can do, and we could listen to, stations from far away. And that's it. And talking about being far away, paypal.me/shortwave if you want to donate a little something. Guys, I'm here twice a week, every week. And your donations have helped me buy new equipment, including this microphone, including the lighting system, including my new laptop. Think about it. If you enjoy what you hear, what you see, and you like the program, and you like me being here all the time, imagine just for a second that starting this week, that Friday would be my last show, and there would be no more shows ever. Would you miss having this happen every week? And I think the majority of you would, honestly, because it's very unique. It's something you don't have everywhere. It's something that you don't see everywhere. It's a great place where we all meet up. And, I take an enormous amount of my time doing this. And, last week, just look at last week. Last week, I did 2 3-hour shows plus 1 4-hour show. That's 10 hours. 10 hours. Okay? 10 hours. Is it worth something? Think about it. If you can spare a little something, it's really, really helpful. It helps me pay the bills, pay my more expensive internet because it's more expensive because I do this than it would probably be. And all the equipment that I use and that I need all the time. The radios that I buy to do reviews. Taking the time to do instruction manuals online because I want you guys to understand what you're using. How many of you have bought the MLA30 that maybe would have purchased that expensive $300, $400, $500 Wellbrook or W6 LVP and you saved hundreds of bucks? Well, why not think about, I bought the MLA30. It really works great. And it's thanks to him. So, you could share that part of that money that you saved and say, you know what, it's worth it because thanks to that guy, I didn't have to buy that expensive thing. Thanks to that guy, I bought the perfect radio, the one that works great because he used it and he talked about it. Well, all of this is expensive. Life isn't free. Isn't free for you guys. You're working hard for your money also. And, I feel like I'm begging when I do this. But at the same time, it's my work. This is my life and my work and my paycheck. So thanks for being here. Thanks for the donations. And do think about it. Okay? Okay. What else do we have? Gordon Lyle said, if you could take a modern shortwave receiver and or SDR back to the mid-80s, make sure you patent it. Then it would, yeah, if you go back in time, anyways, if I would go back in time, I would not take time to do that. I would go back in time. I would go back and check all the lottery ticket winning numbers and would choose these numbers later in life. Then I could have whatever I want, okay? And the money I want and the stuff I want. Oh, man. David O'Toole says, I would have just grabbed an old analog display shortwave radio and said, look at this thing. Do you honestly think it would pick up a satellite? You never know. Gordon Lyle says, when he QSL stations, he also attaches a 30-minute MP3. Some stations do accept that, but a lot of stations, you got to be careful because some stations don't want to have attachments. RJDA Dakota says that's because Radio Vancouver is using old Czech-made valve-based transmitters that probably need massive repair. Yeah, probably. I don't know, Trim Body Mr. Bell, about the radar. Fast load has 3755, very faint. Some ham radio operators. Robert Shine, favorite frequencies or bands? Well, shortwave is my primary listening frequency range. So, 3 to 30 megahertz is where 90% of my listening is done. Then I do like to, tune around the VHF, UHF ranges from time to time also, Tony Turtle, nice to have you on board from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Tom Jones says, try to promote shortwave radio on social media by posting videos of strong reception of distant stations, but because of the internet, few people seem to care. It's a different thing. The internet is the internet, and radio is radio. It's really crazy. The Expeditions. I rather listen to shortwave static than some of the music they play on the radio today. Oh man. Radioactive says, if this was your last show, I would miss it. Yeah, Radioactive, who would all be listening to CKUT on Sundays. Oh, man. Yeah, magic, WF7I Homebrew. The invisible airwaves we're getting with our antennas from far, far away. Think about it. How of the Dawn getting an MLA30 for Christmas? That's one of the best Christmas gifts you'll make yourself, my friend. I can tell you that. Well, you got to plug it with a power supply. It's okay to plug it in the wall with a good power supply. Yes, absolutely. I'm using a little white square from an old iPhone to power it, and it works great, actually. Actually, there are tons of signals on 80 meters. I get 80 meters is full of signals here. Robert Shine, MLA30 came yesterday. And got a PA0 RDT Mini. Cool. Yeah, the Mini Whip. What else do we have? J. Scott. What else do we have? Gordon Lyle is WRMI 9395. Check it out, 93.95 at this time is a hit or miss here. Oh, it's strong tonight. Really strong tonight. 93.95 is very, very strong right now. Propagation is really, really good. What's on 93.85? There's something on 93.85. 93.85. There's something on 93.85. Let me check that out. Thanks, Robert Gold. Thanks, Milroy Peter. You guys are great. Thanks for the donations, guys. It's really, really welcome. And really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. 93.95 is really strong, but 93.95 with the Lord. What is on 93.95? Pray for us, please. Amen. Oh, wow. It's the Catholic station, WEWN. It's WEWN of the United States. And we've got 9265 WINB in Red Lion, Pennsylvania. 9265. 31 meters is surprising tonight with north-south signals. 9395, of course, was WRMI. 9455 with some music. $94.55 with some good music. Signals, north-south signals on 31 meters are pretty good, but there's a lot of signals on 31 meters. Amazing for this time of night. 9535. 9535. In Spanish is Radio Havana, Cuba. Radio Havana, Cuba. $96.40 is Radio Havana, Cuba. Wow, this is 9664.9. 9664.9. La Radio Voz Missionaria from Brazil, man. This is strong like I haven't heard it in a long time. North-south signals are really strong tonight. 9664.9 Radio Voz Missionaria from Brazil is really, really strong. It's hitting S9 here with some music right now. Wow. Really surprising signal from Brazil on that station. It's on 9664.9 Radio Voz Missionaria. Really surprising. Wow. Oh, really, Tony Turtles? No? Maybe tomorrow morning here. Vianney Arsenal, good signal, 93.95 on the vertical. You need an adapter that will be an MLA 30 female to a 1.8 audio. I'm going to try to find something and post a video because a lot of people are asking. Vianney Arsenault says, oh yes, got it too, 9664.9. This one is not one that I hear this strong as often as that. I hear it from time to time, but tonight it's surprising. It's in Portuguese. Surprising signal on 9664.9. Really amazing. Robert Chine, 9265 is fading badly here. Other side of the state. Tom Jones, 9420. 9420. I've got nothing on 9420 here. But I'm surprised at how strong that Brazilian is. I'm really surprised how that Brazilian is on 9664.9. Really crazy. 9885. I've got nothing. 9775, there's a carrier. 9690. I think Spain is still making it really briefly. Interesting that at this time of night, Spain on 9690 is still making it. This is weird. Bobby Burgess says 31 meters is dead over there. Pretty surprising signals. Even 9664.9, Bobby? Crazy. There's a strong signal on 9775. But I don't hear any audio on it. $97.75, but I've got really no audio on it. Gordon Lyle has 96.64 strong as well. Well, you got 94.20, Vianney? It's very surprising. 31 meter band at this time. It's that time that usually it's not a lot of stuff. Brazil. Well, look at 25 meters. Even 25 meters. Look how strong Brazil is on 11.780. Brazil is amazingly strong on 11.780. 11.780. Robert Chan 93.95. That's WRMI. Cuba is strong on 11.760. Leroy Peter, yeah, 11.780 is amazing. If you guys like Brazilian music, Radio Nacional Amazonas 11.780 is really really nice for that. 11.76 is Cuba. Well, 11.700 is Cuba. 11.670 is Cuba. I never noticed how many frequencies Cuba is actually using at the same damn time. There's something on 11.815, and I think that's also a Brazilian. $11,815.1. $11,815.1. Isn't that a Brazilian also? 11,815.1. 11,815.1. Yeah, I think that's Radio Brazil Central. It's not very strong, but I have it here with low audio. But I got it on 11,815.1. Okay, that's kind of interesting. But Vianney, Brazilian music is not Latino music. It's different. There's a different sound to it. Rob says, I like how you take your time searching and listening to stations and do not rush or turn restless. No, you got to take the time to check it out. RFDXer says, Radio Brazil Central, 11,815 likely. Yep. I hear it here, but it's actually reaching S5, S6. But I think the audio is very low. It's interesting because it's late at night and we hear kind of a lot of signals on 25 meters. So you guys call it. Should I go pee and get another beer and continue for at least half an hour to an hour? You guys decide. I'll fit up my beer, but I need to go pee also. So you guys wanted me to continue? Let me know. RGDA Dakota says Brazilian music is like jazz. Of course, everybody wants me to continue. So, okay. I am going to go and well, actually, I'm going to get another beer. I'm going to go pee, and I'll be back in about 2 minutes. I will actually tune Radio Havana Cuba, so I have no chance of having any complaints of anything if there's something playing. So it's going to be quiet for a few seconds, guys. I'm back in 2 minutes with a beer, and I'm going to empty my bladder, which is what I need. So, Bulls Gold, you have the old EIBI memorized. Let's say that I have a lot of frequencies, but I do have the EIBI in my face also. Tom Jones wants me to Himalaya him a beer. I wish that would be possible. That would be really, really cool. So, and think about those donations, guys. And it really helps out if you like what you do. So I'm going to go pee, get a beer. I'm back in 2 minutes. Man. Hello, everybody. Robert China was going to share a beer. Cool. Tom Jones, yes, I'm learning stuff. But don't worry, I got EIBI Buzz Gold on my computer also. So if I'm not sure, but I do have a lot of frequencies in mind. So a lot of the times. And there's also the sound of stations. There are some stations that you know by the sound that it's what that station is. I'm gonna check something here. If I look on 19 meter band is closed. Kind of interesting. So let's check out WRMI. 7780, 7780, I got WRMI. Radio Miami International. 7780. And his brother's there. Woohoo! We're 9395 as Radio Prague Relay now. Radio Prague Relay 9395. 9395. Yep, Brazilians are stronger than Cubans on 25 meters, absolutely. Milroy Peters going to Costa Rica, November 23rd. We'll be taking my shortwave radio down there to see what I pick up. Absolutely, that's going to be a lot of fun. Seeing the different propagation conditions. So Radio Prague relayed in English via WRMI 9395. I got a little something on 15770, but it's not strong here. William Helms just dawned on me. There's a 220 other apartments beside mine in this complex. Imagine everything that is around there. A lot of noise, absolutely, William. Tom Jones, I have a dipole long wire strung under the eaves of the house and running my window. Lots of noise in it. Yeah, but RF gain control will not remove the noise. Unfortunately, it's not the way that it works. Vianney Asano said, "Let's go. I'm here." Oh man. So okay. What else do we have? Let's continue here. I ran out of beer. I never run out of beer. R. Walker, I would like it would be wild if he did it like a super long show, something like 12 hours for charity. You could call it Radio-a-thon. Yeah. That would be kind of interesting. We'd have to have different types of things to talk about and do. One of my fantasies would be to have some kind of a New Year 24-hour show or something. And kind of, wish everybody New Year in their time zones every hour and half hour and 15 minutes, depending on where it is. Middlewright Peter, if you were listening to All Indoor Radio on Saturday afternoon, probably later in the afternoon, 9445 is a good frequency. I was surprised the other day, I think it was Saturday morning, that I got All India Radio around 15 UTC on 11560. I was so surprised. Tom Jones ordered a PL310, and it was horrible AM reception. Everything else is okay. Interesting. Joey D, anyway here, fed up with listening to Brother Stare. But there's other things. We got to just... we got to focus on the other things there's to listen to. That's it. What else do we have? Take care, Brent, 73. See you maybe Friday. 20 UTC for the show. Tom Jones says, my Grunic G6 is kind of deaf on the mid and upper shortwave band, so I bought two new receivers, Texan PL310 and Eton Elite Traveler, and can hear more now. Cool. Cool. Jean-Marc Litz, nice to have you here. In Europe, on the 20 SDR, I'm hearing All India Radio 11740. Wow. Cool. Brian Weitheimer. Nice to have you here for the first time, Brian. Looking forward to sharing my experience with the MLA30 loop. Cool. Yes, please do. Please let us know. Yeah, 9395 is really clear with Radio Prog Relay right now. 13740, something weak. 13740. I do have a very, very small line on the waterfall. Let's just check out EIBI here. What would be on 13740 right now? 13740. At this time of night, we are 03 UTC. That's Radio Havana, Cuba, so it's probably Spanish. Can you identify that it's Spanish? It's Radio Havana, Cuba in Spanish. Robert China, Volmet is a weather station. So, for example, if you tune in at this time on... I'm going to try 5450. Yep, 5450 is the Royal Air Force weather station in the UK. It's not very strong though. 5505 is stronger, and it's the in Ireland, Shannon Volmet, which is the Shannon Ireland station for weather. 5505. That one is stronger actually right now. Oh, that's interesting because WRMI isn't usually off frequency. 9395. Here 9395 is very, very perfectly on the dot. So I don't know if maybe your receiver is a little off, but 9395 actually should be on the dot. WRMI usually is really, really precise in its frequency. 10160 Robert. I'm gonna leave it there, but right now I've got nothing. Our Walker says you could do it. You could hear New Year's stuff around the world. I think I did, Drimbelly, Mr. Bale, but be patient. I will be checking it out because I have so many emails, plus so many things. I would like you to just be in my world for one day, and you'd see how much stuff I get every day that I have to go through. But don't worry. If you send me an email, I'll interact and let you know. R. Walker says, I bet if you did a New Year's show, you'd break the record the Halloween show set. It'd be interesting to see the 24-hour show, what it would be. Man, I would need coffee. I would not be drinking 24 hours. I would actually be drinking coffee. What I would do is drink coffee and have a sip or a glass of, like, champagne every hour or every half hour when it's New Year somewhere. But drink coffee the rest of the time to stay up. Tom Jones, I love whiskey, but I'm on several medication and had to quit drinking. I make any excuse to drink if I can, but yeah, even I have a couple of medications here, and technically I shouldn't be drinking really much. But sometimes what life is all about. Keegan, nice to have you here in Northwest Arkansas. Jersey bound, nice to have you on board. Gordon Lyle says, have to take my heart meds, and that makes me tired, so heading out tonight. Take care, my friend. WA9211SWL. Nice to have you here from Southern Illinois, my friend, and do take care of yourself. It's very, very important. We got to take care of ourselves, you know. We got to listen to Shortwave with, you know, until 100 and make sure that everybody knows Shortwave exists. You know, when all of us here are not here anymore, Shortwave, what's going to happen to Shortwave? But happy to see you, Jersey Bound. Happy to see you. 70 degrees in Corpus Christi. Great time to listen to the radio outside. Here it's 4 Celsius, which means it's like barely making 40. And we're supposed to have some snow tomorrow morning when I wake up. So it's going to be our first snow tomorrow morning here in Montreal. 5760. Oh, that's Stanag. 5760 is Stanag. It's a form of digital mode. Robert Shine. Keegan is listening in with Eton Grundig Field Edition. Internal antenna. You know what, Trimbelli, Mr. Bale? I get so much junk. Thank God the spam filters work quite well because, wow, it's crazy. Can I offset the mic? Yes. You guys want to see me? You want to make sure that I'm not faking and that you can read my lips? Nice to have you here, D-Raf. Long live Shortwave. Absolutely, Keegan. That's for sure. Milroy Peter will take his radio to the grave and listen there. Yes, I think 15770 is WRMI, but here it's extremely weak. Where's Mr. Paul the Cat? I hear something. I'm just going to check it out just out of curiosity. So you asked for Mr. Paul? Well, here's Mr. Paul. And he's just meowed. Come on. People want to see you. Come on. He wants to eat or something, but let's try to bring Mr. Paul here. Paul? He just found I was throwing some food, some treats on the floor, and one came through the door. He just found it and he's eating it. Paul? Want to come here? Come on. No, he doesn't want to come here, but come on. You can come on. Alright. So, Paul the Cat is here. Let's hope that he wants to join in the fun a little bit. And let's see if he does. Yes, he will. Here we go. So here's Mr. Paul the Cat for all your enjoyment. And saying hi to everybody. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. I might have to bring Mr. Paul the Cat to the vet because he's got like an irritated butt, but really it doesn't look nice. And I'm afraid that it needs to be treated or something. I don't know what happened. So the past few days, and he's been like really licking crazy on that area. So I think we're going to have to go to the vet, and of course that's going to cost me several $100s. But, you know, when you love your cat, when you love your animal, you got to take care. Huh? Got to take care. So we're going to see in the next few days what happens, and if he's doesn't feel well, we're going to bring him to the vet. So, Mr. Paul, for your enjoyment, guys. You stayed all the way through just to see Paul, I bet you. Just to see Paul. J. Scott, well, you hear well at 162.475. Here, 462.475 is a weather station off of Mont Tremblant that I hear sometimes. One also in near Sherbrooke. Quebec. You know what, Trimbelly, Mr. Bell? I've always had, and that's what I was always saying to my when I would go fix computers. I would tell people, get yourself more than one email, and use that one of that email for junk. So you know when you go out and there's these stores always want to have your email for a contest. Of course, one of the reasons why is going to send you tons of junk. And the thing is, I have an email just for the junk because I don't want to see it. So if you enter a contest, you know, you can just fill in the junk. Any suggestions for a UTC digital clock for my station? Something on eBay you like? You know, that's interesting. I haven't gone on eBay a lot for clocks. I know that a few people had some interesting suggestions. I know that some of you are using the MFJ clock. I honestly really love that clock that I got at Radio Shack way back then. I like a big clock that's set to UTC time. I don't have suggestions. I don't know if anybody has one that can, you know, isn't too expensive that you can get out. Maybe I should look and make a video of that too. That could be kind of interesting. That could be really, really interesting. Yeah, off the dawn. Yes, I know that one of the things I read online is that the glands near his anus is, you know, they're the glands that he uses to kind of put his own scent on everything. So that could be something there. But I don't know. I mean, it's really not beautiful. I won't even show you guys. Because you're going to look at it and you're going to say, oh, wow, this is really, you know. But, so we're going to see what's going to do. But I might have to spend several $100 a vet just for that. But I love my Paul. Mwah. And, of course, I will take care of him. Okay? Yeah, I love you too. I mean, you know, it's mostly when he goes to poo, that he just can't stop like licking himself. It's like burning or something. But we'll see. We'll see. Cat butt. Oh man. Yeah, but here is really cold, RFDXer. So fleas not a problem. I'm treating him for all the different fleas that he could have. I don't know what could be happening here. It's the first time in 4 years that I've had him. First time this happens. Oh, Tom Jones, if my cat got killed, I'd be sad. 4986, Robert Shine is some kind of RTTY, I believe. Yeah. That's a radio teletype signal. 4984 upper sideband. So, oh yeah, it's really cold. But, you know, the cold weather doesn't really affect him that much, honestly. The cold weather is not much of a problem. But snow is a problem. When it snows, he just like puts his paw in the snow and is like, oh, I'm not sure I want to have that. Not sure. RJDA Dakota says, I also love to listen to Shortwave as well, with Greece and Brazil with great music. Yeah, if you like Greek music, Voice of Greece is amazing for that. 5085 WTWW. You can actually call in for your favorite songs. It's kind of nice. It's kind of cool, you know? It's kind of cool. Yes, it's a monstrous cat. He is a really big cat. He's 19 pounds. 19 pounds. Kamagzi 1976. Maybe Ball just needs to have his anal gland worked on. A very common thing for dogs and cats. They get clogged. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Jay Scott says cold front will be here. Sunset, rain, and thunderstorms. Here it's snow. A lot of snow. Hey, Jay Waterston 69. You're happy. Paul is here. Yeah, especially here in Quebec. I go to, if I have a bad butt, I just go to the doctor and it costs nothing. If he has a bad butt, he's gonna cost me $600 or $700. That is the crazy thing about our own existence, and we're gonna pay that $600 $700 for sure. Yeah, 19 pounds, Mr. Paul the Cat. But he hasn't taken or gotten more weight in the past. I kicked the camera, and I will stop showing my belly and put the camera back in my hoodie. Okay, so he's been weighing 19 pounds for a year. He hasn't taken any more weight, so I don't know. 4566. If you're hearing that chirping sound, because that's what I'm hearing. That's Kodar, which is a radar that looks at the can actually look at the size of the ocean waves. Wow, there's some kind of really strong noise outside right now. $19,000, really awesome. Smokey Bear, bonsoir et bienvenue de Ottawa. Nice to have you here, Smokey Bear. And so, take care, Shelly Sykes. Nice to have you here, Shelly. And Friday, 20 UTC. I do hope Paul needs to get. I hope Paul needs will get better soon. Also, I don't know. I've been actually wiping his butt myself really well, twice a day. Hopefully, it already looks a little better. Maybe I can manage that. We'll see in the next few days, but might be going to the vet anyways. VE2CAT, VE2 cat. That'd be nice. 2.21 USB. 2210 USB. What else do we have? Let's check out signals here a little bit. 6,000. So Radio Havana Cuba is distorted on 6,000. Trying to see what other signals are interesting here. Checking out what signals we have on the bands right now. Tom Jones had a 27-pound female bobcat I rescued from a guy who kept her in a cage. She was very skittish, but she trusted me and my mom. Turned her loose, but fed her. Cool. It's fun when you can take a cat and there's actually a cat that's been hanging around here for the past several, at least pretty much all summer. And obviously it looks like a cat that doesn't have a home. And he comes up, or she comes up, I don't know if it's a he or she, to the balcony, and really scared. So when I open the door, usually backs off. But at the same time, it's like a halfway, backs off, but at the same time looks at me like, meow, I'm hungry and I'd like to. And I don't respond, because it's not because I don't want to have 18 cats in the house, first of all. And second of all is I already have one cat. And it's not my cat. It's the cat that was the neighbor's cat that became my cat. And there's a certain responsibility. I mean, I look at just Paul right now with his butt, and I'm like, I don't want to spend, $25,000 a year on vet. I'm not a millionaire and I'm not rich, so it's like, already like, if I have to go there, it's going to be like 600-700. And, well, that's a lot of money. And, one cat is enough. I'm taking care of Paul, and that's okay. And, but, yeah, of course, if I'd had the resource and everything, yeah, why not, It doesn't, a friend of mine has 7 or 8 cats. And I'm like, how do you do it? I got one, and I already find it's got a lot of stuff. When Paul wakes me up at 4 in the morning when I'm trying to sleep, I'm like, oh man, I want to sleep. Humans sleep at night. How you do with 7 or 8 cats? I would go crazy, Oh man, just crazy. $2485. I shouldn't have anything there. 2485. Here I got nothing on 2485. 2598. Check out of here. 2749. Oh, it's strong. Wow, really strong. Hey, Vianney, do you hear 2749? Upper sideband, Nova Scotia weather. Really strong in French right now. S9 here in Montreal. Wow, this is really strong. 2749 from Nova Scotia. Upper sideband is really strong here. Our Walker's got 2749 upper sideband all the way in Washington. Wow. It's in French right now. Joey D says, I recently hooked my new stick antenna and got from eBay. It's hooked up to a really high lamppost in my backyard. Pulls in all kinds of stuff, including my great medium wave reception. Wow, kind of interesting. To your Grundig Satellite 750. Trumanity Bushgrad. Glad to be here and just joined this feed briefly. Thank the host for all the great videos and information. Thank you very much, man. Tom Jones says, I feed some wild raccoons and a young possum. I basically give them my food scraps and some grapes and leftovers from melons and leave water out for them. That's cool. That's cool. That's the kind of thing I would do. When it was really hot last summer, I didn't leave food because I didn't want to have too many cats coming over. But I left a bowl of water when it was like really hot and not raining for a while, so that if the cat would come over, at least he could drink water and refresh himself a little bit. We try to take care. I think we have to take care of our furry friends and the planet. DRAF 2749 week in Kingston, New York. It's really strong. It's rarely this strong, actually. This is Canadian Maritime Weather 2749. RFDX, a raccoon carried off my bird feeder in its mouth. I caught him on video. Okay, the funniest story that I have with a raccoon is I'm at my father's shack up north that I was talking earlier at La Concepcion. And I would have my food outside in a box with, in a kind of a freezer with ice, because we didn't have electricity and no place to put anything. So the food was outside on the balcony. And already that that night, I mean, that place is like the nearest neighbor is about 2 miles away, and it's forest everywhere and a lake on the front. So imagine you watch too many Friday the 13th movies before going there. The first thing you think when you get there is, of course, that somebody's gonna kill you. There's some kind of mad guy that's gonna kill you or something. So already you're kind of stressed a little bit, and I'm alone that night, and I'm already stressed. I had the fire outside, and when it been dark, it was like, okay, I think I'm gonna go listen to Shortwave inside. I don't feel super comfortable, and so go to bed. Wake up, it's like 3 in the morning, and I hear this scratching sound. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? But, when you're in a place where you're already kind of on the edge, every sound is amplified by a million. So the scratching sounds like some kind of big beast is doing something. And I'm scared all of my, I'm shitting in my pants. I get up, and I have the flashlight, and I look through the window, and I see these two little eyes, and I'm like, it's a raccoon. He's trying to open because he knows food is in there. He probably smells it, and he's exactly at the right place. He knows that's where we opened this. It's just crazy. And I look at him, and it's like, yeah, you look like a thief. You really want to, steal my food, But oh man, what a evening. Yeah, 2749 just stopped. Absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty weak too. Absolutely. Tom Joe says, I always leave water out in droughts. Raccoons, possums show up at the same time every night. Absolutely. I got a story with skunk. You're gonna love that one, RFDXer. Ronald Hester, you got an RTL SDR in the mail. You can look. There's several software you can use. The one I would use is HD SDR. You got to put that DLL file in the software for it to work. But that would be one of my favorite choices. But it depends what you want to do. SDR Sharp works great. What else I would say? There's several software for Windows 7. So RFDXer and everybody watching, I go to the karaoke bar one night. So here in where I live, it's a big city, but here where I live, there are some skunks and there are some raccoons. So one night, and it's like, 7 or 8 years ago, and there's a black cat that's been coming around at that time. I go to karaoke bar, and I come back at home. It's 3 a.m. when the bar closed, and I'm a little drunk. And I get right here in front of the house, and I see a black blob, and I'm like, oh, it's Kitty, the black cat. But when I look, it turns around and looks at me, and I see this white stripe over it. It's like, oh, it's not Kitty. It's a skunk. But the funniest thing is, he just looks at me and is like, what do you want? And moves away and goes away slowly, And I'm like, okay, bye-bye, skunk. I don't want to meet you. And I thought it was the black cat. Just so funny. Here I got a really, really unusual skunk, honestly. In the backyard, and for the past 2 years, I have a white skunk with a black stripe. It's a reversed skunk. And remember the first time I saw the skunk, I was like, wow, a white skunk with a black stripe. I've never seen that before. And the funniest thing is Paul the cat is always going around with the skunk. And I'm like, Paul, what are you doing? That's a skunk. But it seems that Paul the cat and the skunk are friends or something. Just crazy. RGDA Dakota says, deer in the common ground behind our house. I know that in the east part of the island, where there's a little less population, some people see deer over there. Yeah, Zadig drivers. Oh, Bobby Burgess, you're right on that. You need to have these Zadig drivers to replace the original drivers for sure. For sure. Because or else it's not going to work. So, hey guys. I've been on for 3 hours and 36 minutes. And I'm a little tired. And we have a show on Friday. So how about we say goodnight? I want to thank everybody for being here. And we'll be here 20 UTC on Friday with another shortwave show. Tuning the bands, having fun. And we're probably going to have a special on digital modes, a little more. A lot of people want to see more of digital modes and stuff. So I'm going to check that out. Thanks for the donations to everybody that donated. You are really great, guys. Thank you for being great fans of the show. And hope you enjoyed our Wednesday show as usual. So take care, my friends. Love you all. Stay safe. And see you window. Well, there's nothing interesting in the window, Kimberly. It's like, boring street. I'll show you the window when it's interesting, like, snowing, snowstorm and stuff like that. That's interesting. Now you're just going to see, like, cars in street. So we're going to do it next time, Kimberly. Especially with the snowstorm. I always like to show that. So take care. Love you all. And thanks for being great fans. Without you guys, there would not be any shows anyways. So stay safe. Love you all. Peace. And Friday, 20 UTC. Bye-bye.